Roots across the plains, hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more, factories hum with honest pride, our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, how's everybody doing this Friday night? What are you up to, Jade?
What am I up to? Just talking to you. Just talking to you.
All right. How was your week?
My week was like really busy.
Mine too, believe it or not. And I was sick most of the week, but now I'm feeling great today.
That's good.
First time. Yeah, for the first time.
That's good.
So that's good. How's everybody else doing out there? Let me see who's here. Hey, 40. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Hey, what's up, 40? Guys, 40's channel link is in the description. If you're new here, please sub to him. Please do it. He's the Irish poet patriot, what I call him anyway. Hey, what's up, sis? That's my sister, Carrie Ann. Jimmy's in the house. Jimmy from Philly in the house. What's up, brother from the same mother?
We got a family reunion going here, Rich.
I do. Pam's here. Who else is here? Commander, of course. It wouldn't be a stream without Commander. I'll wait for a couple more. Let me just go over the stories we're going to do this week. Yeah, the theme this week is Trump kicks ass. There's a couple themes actually. So let's see the top ones. I got, I think 50 down here going down. It might be 50 or 49. I don't know. Shameless Wasserman Schultz, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She poaches a black district for political survival. Can you believe this? Because what happened was Florida redistricted because the Democrats started in New York and then Texas fought back and then Virginia tried what they did, but they didn't get away with it. New York shouldn't have got away with it, but there's no honest judges in New York. They just don't exist anymore. And so now in other words, I didn't read the story, but I'm willing to bet that what it is there were 2 districts left, and she said, "Screw you, I'm taking your district." And I think that's what that story might be about. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio says J6 FBI informants may have been getting paid by the SPLC. Oh, Oh, now Letitia James went after the NRA. I think someone should go after the SPLC now, because these guys, I mean, Jesus, I mean, think about it. They paid the Charlottesville people, the organizer, one of them anyway, paid this guy over 8 years, $270,000. And then they go and report on it that Donald Trump. Did you hear Jamie Raskin, Jade, this week?
Not sure.
He did a whole Charlottesville thing.
Did he? No, I don't think I heard that.
He said, you know, when they had tiki torches and they came in, they were white nationalists and whatever. And he goes, and all he could say was there's very fine people on both sides. I mean, you got to be mentally retarded to say that after all the people, especially I've played it 5 million times. I had to have. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I played it all the time where Trump condemned both hate groups. But this jackass, you know why? Because most of their constituents are morons.
Yeah,
they get the news from CNN and Brian Stelter. You know,
the thing is, you don't have to be that stupid. You just have to assume that your supporters are that stupid.
That is true. That's what I mean too. Barney Frank died, but the proof about his life is being whitewashed. That's how he used to talk. Yeah, Barney Frank died. For those of you who don't know, Barney Frank was in charge of the Money Committee in the House. He is largely responsible. He and Chris Dodd from the Senate, the Finance Committee in the Senate, they are largely responsible for keeping that housing market scam going for over 30 years. And that's why, even to this day, American homes, like an average home now is like $400, $1,000, like just and that's really not the greatest home around, but like $400,000. My home's worth that much now. And I only paid $255 for it. I thought that was too much, but now it's worth $400, but a little over $400. But the thing is, it was because it was a housing bubble that they did where they wanted to be able to say, the Democrats wanted to be able to say, well, we care more about black people buying a home than those evil Republicans. Republicans like, what the heck are you talking about, man? And so here they created a system, a scam, where they were using now I can't remember what it was called. The subprime. It was the subprime markets. I'll get into it later, but what a piece of crap he is. His boyfriend who lived with him, he was running a prostitution ring out of their basement. Nothing to see here, right? Cuba falling. Today is the beginning of the end, and Rubio's powerful message. That's going to be a good one. Here's just the meme of the day. Race, resist Trump. And he got stepped on by an elephant. He lost his primary. Good. So did Cassidy. Here you go. Spencer Pratt. For our guys overseas, Spencer Pratt is a guy who he's a reality TV star. Like he's just from reality TV. I don't even know what show, but that's not important.
I thought he was a farmer.
Now, well, he's a reality TV show. He's from, that's how he's known. His home was burned down, I think, in the Palisades fires. And the way he saw it, the way that the city and the state was handling it was just outrageous. Years, and people they're not even, they can't even get permits to rebuild their own freaking homes, right? So he's running for mayor, and he just may win. That's a Kurt Schlichter story.
Yeah, you know what I was conflating? I was thinking of the guy that beat Massey. What is it, Gillespie or something?
Yeah, I forget. I think it's Gillespie. CNN is struck by its non-reporting on Minnesota fraud cases. I mean, unbelievable. Because they didn't want to report on them, right? The trolling of Mamdani begins. That's going to be fun. There you go. Ah, I'm so sad. The long farewell to Stephen Colbert is finally over. Now we can laugh at the grave mourning of his loss.
Is he fine? Is he gone? Did they?
He's gone. He's gone. Yeah,
finally.
He left. Yeah, he's finally gone. I think they kept him on as an FU to Trump. Remember, because he was gone, then everybody, he's the greatest comedian. I don't think he's told a joke that was funny in about 25 years. Him, Kimmel, the other idiot. I don't think they have.
I mean, they stand there and they go, Trump is stupid, and the audience laughs.
Yeah, I know. It's like shoehorn. Nothing. Trump is dumb. They're nuts. They're lib nuts, man. They're crazy. The Streisand, the Barbara Streisand.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Okay. The Streisand effect hits Newsom hard after his office makes huge blunder attacking Chevron. Right. The Barbara Streisand thing is where she would say, it's it's not so bad, and then it would get bad. It was like she was predicting what she didn't want.
When I first heard about the Streisand effect years and years ago, I did not realize that it was actually Barbara Streisand.
Oh yeah,
she was involved. The whole thing is she was involved in something. I don't know the details, and there was some like brief story about it. And if she just would have said nothing, nobody would have said nobody would have remembered. But she came out and
yep,
you know, started, and then all of a sudden it was a big thing. And so all of a sudden everybody was talking about it. Well, I never knew that was related to her. I figured.
She filed a $50 million lawsuit against Kenneth Alderman and the California Coastal Records Project, demanding the removal of an aerial photograph of her Malibu home. And she was all loud and saying, "You got to remove. I don't want people to know where I am." And guess what? Because of the publicity, everybody knew where she was.
Everybody went and looked at the picture. Exactly.
And then they found out where she was, and they all went to her house and, "Hi, Barbara." They drive by, you know. So it's called. And what Rush used to do was he would say, "You know what this is? It's BS." But he would say, "It's Barbara Streisand." Instead of saying bullshit, he would say, "It's Barbara Streisand." Because it was. Okay. West Coast, Mest Coast. Oh, now we see why Democrats love homeless drug addicts. Let's see. I'm missing people. I know that. Let me see who's here. Hey, Anglo. What's up, man? Where are you? There you go. I thought I saw you there. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Who else is here? New people. Hey, 40, how's that thing going that we talked about? Yeah, I can't wait to see that, man. And I won't tell you guys. Let's see. Let's go down one more. I'm going to do the Barbara Streisand effect, right? Francesca Hong wants to be Wisconsin's next governor. She also wants to defund the police. Can you believe this? Oh, where do you hear this? Guess what state may actually just go red? One of the bluest of the blue. Did you hear this story?
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know the answer.
Go ahead. Give me it.
Oregon.
Yes, Oregon. Can you believe this shit?
That's amazing.
That's the state with Portland, guys.
That's where Portland is. Yes.
That's where it is. And they're going to go red. And you know what? You know what else? If they don't go red, it's like any other of these states. Okay. Hold on. Somebody just sent me some. It's like any of these other blue states. You see several pockets of blue. The rest of the state is flaming red. Okay. It's just that you got so many people in those blue cities, and they cheat. Okay. So when you see the map of red and blue, the right side of the state, it looks like it's 65% of the state. They all want to go. Hey, Anglo, what's up, man? That's right. We're all family here. That is true. That is, in fact, we guys came from you guys, so you started it. But thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And so they want to become Idaho, which is on their border. Can you imagine if they left and became Idaho, which they're allowed to do? I mean, West Virginia, we have West Virginia. It used to be Virginia, and the Civil War split them, right?
Yeah.
I think Tennessee was actually a part of it too, and they split.
I think it's 13 colonies in 13 counties in Oregon voted to join what they call the Greater Idaho Project.
Right. And see, those counties, though, are huge. I'm talking the swaths of land. Because the libnuts always say, well, you see all those states, it's all rural land. Who gives a shit? Those counties all have they have their laws and all that. They live their lives the way they want to. And they got to deal with you blue nut cities because that's where the capital is, always in a blue city, right? And you guys make laws that screw us and help yourselves. Your blue cities, right? And then the blue cities even screw up red states. Like a couple of red states made it on the highest. Hey, what's up? Hello, Leanne. Good to see you, girl. And the Reds, I'll bring you in a minute if you want. If you want to come in and say hi. I was talking to Leanne earlier. She got good stuff. But what's called? So they say you're a high crime state, red state. It was because of the blue cities with all the crime. It was like Tennessee with Memphis, right? Memphis, and well, after Trump got done with it, you can walk down the streets again, just like DC, right? But yeah, so I digress.
What's interesting, though, I think, is that if it comes down to looking like Oregon is going to vote for a Republican governor, the
Right.
Democrats may actually support the Greater Idaho Project to get rid of those, those pesky Republicans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Let me see. So good to see you. Oh, there you go. What's up, Leanne? Yeah, let's bring Leanne in now because I know she probably has to go, so we can bring her in for a few minutes. Let me do that. Oh, where am I? Invite guest. There we go. All right, hang on. Where is it? Where is it? Hang on. And here she is. All right. Leanne, I just texted you the code if you want to come in. Let me see. How would I do this? I don't know. Hang on. Let's see. All right, let me do one story. If I don't get you right away, it's because I'm reading something. I'm reading these. John Thune to send Senate home early, assuring they will miss Trump's spending bill deadline. He did this on purpose because of what happened to John Cornyn. We'll get into that. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tulsi Gabbard has resigned. Okay, and a lot of people, like the libnuts, are all, because they got in trouble. Trump can't keep anybody. No, it's because her husband was diagnosed with bone cancer, so she had to leave. The two of them love each other. Like, he loved the job she was doing, and she loves the job he's doing. There was no hard feelings at all. It's going to suck because she's like the only one who was there for the first year that was actually doing criminal referrals, like left and right. And Pam Bondi wasn't doing jack to do it. So that was bothering me. But let's go down. So Tulsi Gabbard, pre-resignation. She leaves June 30th. Tulsi Gabbard working to declassify controversial FISA court opinion, which is going to destroy James Comey because they will use it in his trial. Mysterious fossils discovered across the U.S. provides more. Hold on, browser has mic blocked. Camera blocked. How do I fix? When you come in, Leanne, what you're going to see is that there's going to be as soon as you come in, there's going to be a setting in one of the menu items, and it's for your camera and your mic. You just hit the drop down and choose which ones they are. That's all. You just choose it. It's probably defaulting to one that you don't have if you're coming in on your phone. That's probably it. We didn't change anything here. Like we don't block anybody coming in. Gavin, let me know if you still have problems. Gavin Newsom admits Trump was right. Cosplays white-collar populist. So in other words, Gavin Newsom knows that he's going down. He might not even be in the nominee, except for that beautiful hair. That's what everybody says about him, right? But now he's trying to be a white-collar populist, and everybody knows he's a scumbag communist. Yeah, so let's go down. So single chart shows DNC's downfall among the American electorate since 2009. And they are hurting right now. It's getting worse and worse. I wrote, no shit. George Floyd protests failed to make their lives better, black voters say. Because they're a bunch of commies and they did it for the money.
This is my shock face.
Yeah,
this is my shock face.
Yeah. There you go. Minnesota fraud suspect Mohammed Omar leaps from fourth floor balcony to evade arrest. Manhunt underway. NASCAR champion Kyle Busch dies at the age of 41. I haven't read the story because I want to read it. Oh, look at that. I want to read it myself. Let me see. Did she come in? Is she able to get in? Not yet. Let's see. Here we go. A judge sentenced the mastermind of the Feeding Our Future to 41 plus years in that $250 million pandemic era fraud scheme. That is up in that's in Minnesota. That was the Feeding Our Future scam that I think Ilhan Omar was involved in. Let me go here. Let me do this. Let me save something. I did a meme last night. Let me see. 703. I'm going to pull that up. Let me remove this for now. Add to stage. Oops. Hang on. Do an image file. Come on. Let's go. There it is. Okay, and there it is. So let me take that off. There you go. So let me see if I get this right. There is SNAP fraud. There is EBT fraud. There's Medicaid and Medicare fraud. There's home health care fraud, medical transportation fraud, hospice care fraud, daycare fraud, school lunch fraud, ... It continues. And yet we're supposed to believe that there is zero election fraud. Right? Make the point? What do you think? I thought it was kind of good. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to this. All right, so yeah, she got, dude, 41 plus years. Holy mackerel. The British people are facing a threat far greater than an Islamic takeover. I didn't read that because I want to read it with you guys.
That sounds interesting.
I know. That's probably the first one I'm going to read because a lot of guys drop out because it's late. The downfall of America's cities, LA's homeless magnet effect exposed. Yeah, you know, Gavin Newsom is talking about, like, he's trashing Trump with the Save America Act. Meanwhile, he is literally using state money to import illegals into the state. We just don't hear about it. But somebody broke the code, and he is. The left's lack of moral compass leaves it in a perpetual state of conflict with the world. That's going to be a great one to read. And Ilham. The hammer comes down as Minnesota fraud queen gets massive sentence. That's the other girl, but this is another story from a different angle. Trump puts the open borders lobby on notice with record expansion on hiring deportation judges. You got to love it. I had a Libnut the other day when the story came out. The judges are in a different branch. He can't hire them. I'm like, you're a freaking idiot. Because they work for the executive branch. Former mayor of Detroit is now former candidate for governor of Michigan. Why? Why did Mike Duggan, whatever, fail or bail? Jesus, can't read. Now, how about this? Medicine ball. Mark Cuban working with Trump is a hard pill to swallow for many Democrats. Right. It's because, like I heard on the Shrew, right? You heard Joy Behar. She was on the Shrew, right? And so she was saying, I can't believe that, like, Trump, he even puts his name, on everything, even on the meds and all. And the conservative woman there said, no, you're wrong. She goes, we have to get certain medicines every month that are sky high. She goes, we got up to 65% off through Trump RX. She said, stop it. She goes, just knock it off. And like, I can't believe Mark Cuban would work on him. Yeah, because Mark Cuban is a smart guy, right? He has a smart business. He's just a libnut. Well, he's not a libnut. He's a liberal. No, he's not to fund the police and all that shit, but that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and Mark Cuban, that's one of the things that really moves him is the prescription prices.
Yeah, really. So here we go. Bye, Massey. Okay, so Massey confident about primary win, but comes off as a total pine cone in final Young Turks appearance. Yeah.
What's a total pine cone? I don't understand.
You'll see it.
Okay. Yeah,
you'll see it. What is a pine cone? Think about it. Stolen valor, Dick. That's threatens Kash Patel and Lahoozer, please. All right, so Richard Blumenthal was a stolen valor guy. He's a senator, Democrat, obviously, right? So the guy in the story says, I like to write about Dick Blumenthal because I get to call him Dick. It's a pretty good article, the way the guy wrote it. Hang on. Someone here. Okay. Then we have fat liberal gets angry at conservative interviewer. It's pretty funny. DNC's 2024 post-mortem report. They actually put millions of dollars out for a post-mortem report of the 2024 election. And they didn't cite anything that was true. So it says is nearly 200 pages, not a single mention of this glaring factor. Like they kept hidden, in other words, so they used, the donation money of their own people, their own voters. And then they won't tell them what they found because see what they're trying to do. I'll tell you what they're trying to do. Like if Republicans did this, not rhinos, but if Republicans did this, they would say, all right, let's see what we learn about it. Right. And they've been doing this for a long time now. Remember when every one of them went on commercials and had to throw an F-bomb? Remember that? Mm-hmm. Not too long ago? They all threw F-bombs because they thought that's going to make us look manly. Seriously, they did that, right? There's a lot of crap they do. Well, this one, and that's the stuff that they got from the report. So instead of saying that, voters don't look at them as manly because You know, they support the trans movement and all that, right? And so they thought, well, what are we going to do to make it look manly? We'll just throw F-bombs. Everybody loves an F-bomb. They think a guy's tough. They don't get it. They clearly don't get it.
Is that like having a Camaro with no muffler? Obviously, you know, you have to respect the guy's virility if he's got a loud Camaro, right?
Right. Another rhino got crushed. We'll get into that.
You know how the Republicans won the 2024 election. It was Elon Musk, and he programmed his Starlink satellites to talk to the computers and steal the election. Didn't you know that?
Oh, I'm sorry, 40. No, I didn't. I will check it out. When did you send it? Because I checked yesterday. I didn't see it. Maybe it didn't come through yet. But that's unusual because he usually gets right here. I will look right now, good sir. Oh, okay. Oh, that's to him. Oh, to Commander. Oh, I thought meant you send me. I should read the full thing, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I would do better. Let me say dog turds or what? Okay, there we go. Luigi, what's up, Louie? Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, did you hear my little distraction?
I didn't because I was distracted. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go again.
But yeah, that's how Trump won the 2024 election. It was Elon Musk.
Yeah, I remember you did say that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got it.
Programmed the Starlink satellites to confuse the computers and steal the election.
Right. That's one of the ways. The other way is that a lot of the red states had election integrity laws, and they were following them. Now, remember we read last week that Trump has an election integrity army going out for the midterms. And they're going to say they're trying to intimidate people. Yeah, you mean like the guys in Philly, the black guys that were banging on with billy clubs, were banging on everything around them outside of a voting district?
Yeah, but that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. Yeah, how about it's just because more people voted for Trump because they wanted Trump? How about that?
Yeah, how about they didn't want Kakala? They didn't want heels up Harris. Here we go. Peep the parade of horribles Virginia Dems were ready to foist on America. That's going to be good. Dr. Oz, this is short and sweet. This is what I was telling you about with the Trump RX. It's Dr. Oz fires back after Joy Behar's Trump RX meltdown. The UN's climate doomsday scenario just fell apart. It should have years ago. It's all bullshit. It's Barbara Streisand. Another line crossed as Virginia Democrat makes an astonishing threat against a SCOVA justice, so the Supreme Court of Virginia, right? Maine U.S. Senate candidate, the guy, is that the guy with the swastika on him?
Yeah.
Senate candidate runs from question about alleged porta potty fetish. You can't make this stuff up. They call Trump a Nazi. They call Trump a Nazi every other day, and yet they're totally throwing money at a guy who's running that has a Nazi sticker on or tattoo on him.
Yeah, it just gets better and better.
Yeah. There we go. A shameful NAACP boycott. They took the picture away. Conservative candidates sweep Georgia Supreme Court elections. Of course they did. Air France flight blocked from entering U.S. diverted to Canada over Ebola fears. Now, why do you think that happened? It's not just the Ebola, because Trump's trying to send a message to Macron. Because Macron, that piece of shit, he just he went, where'd he go? I think he went to China. He was trashing Trump in the United States, and then he flew back and he continued trashing them from France. And Trump, I guess Trump just went, you know what? Screw you. I tried to bring you into the fold. You don't want to go nationalist. Screw you. Stay a globalist. We'll destroy you. Let me see. Wi-Fi is giving a try. That's all right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So Obamacare enrollment expected to drop by nearly 5 million as costs surge. Why? Because they were always supposed to surge. There's a lot of things in Obamacare that people didn't know that was geared to it. He was a nudger. He wanted to nudge people in a direction, right? That way you don't get blamed for being a fascist. And he was a fascist because he had, instead of, he was a cowardly fascist. He forced insurance companies to do what they were going to do, which means he's going to force doctors and hospitals and everybody else in there to do what they're going to do because of the money difference, right? And so he didn't have the balls like a real fascist to say, we're going to take over your company and run it ourselves, right? No. He goes and forces Obamacare on insurance companies. And so they go, okay, we'll cover all this stuff. Their actuarialists get in and go, yeah, we'll do this. They talk to the financial guys and they go, okay, this is what it's going to cost. And then this prick, this cowardly prick who likes boys, he comes out and goes to the mic and says that they're gouging you. The insurance companies are gouging you. I'm going to have the DOJ look at that. And I'm like, you prick. You don't know anything about anything because you never ran a business in your life. And here you caused it. Like he thought that they were going to say, okay, you got to provide this, this, and this to everybody, regardless of age, regardless if they're dying, you got to do that. And yet you're going to keep the prices at the same thing. No, idiot. That's not how the world works. Republicans are winning the redistricting battle. CBS analysis. CBS. Think about that. Communist broadcast system. They actually are saying GOP is winning. Raul Castro reportedly targeted in a new DOJ indictment for 1996 fatal plane shootdown. Now, this is what I love. We go after Maduro, right? He's a dictator. Went after him. They go after the Iranian dictators, took them all out. Now they're going after Raul Castro, another dictator, because they're the motherfuckers that are causing all the problems in the world. Ex-prosecutor faced, this is a great story. Ex-prosecutor faces 20 years in prison for allegedly stealing sealed documents from the Jack Smith probe labeled as dessert recipes. That's a great story. You're going to want to hear that. So let's see who's all here. Hey, Linda. What's up, girlfriend? How you doing? Got a letter from Starlink yesterday. The free month trial on the internet works. So, okay, cool. Cool. What's this thing? Yeah. Blue eyes and green eyes. There you go. Eyes of green and blue eye. There you go. We have the communist broadcasting. Yeah. There you go. What was it? It was ABC, always Bill Clinton. CNN, Clinton Network News. NBC, naturally Bill Clinton. And CBS, Clinton Broadcasting System. Let's go.
Yeah, now I think we call CNN the Communist News Network.
Yes, that's exactly correct. So let's go. First one, let's go down. I said I was going to do it, and I am.
Going to do the Brit one.
Yeah, we are. I got to find it. Francesca. Let's see. Single chart. Minnesota, NASCAR. Did I go past it? Judge sent British. There we go. All right.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, it is. So let's see. British people. There we go. Share this tab. Sorry, it's red state. The British people are facing a threat far greater than an Islamic takeover. Now, I want to say in advance. If you guys say something, I can't see it right now. So I will absolutely answer anything. Let me see. Watch the alert. Oh, cool. We'll put that up. So let's go. All right. So the UK is in a horrifying place. They are something of a test case, a major Western power hooked on too much globalism. Again, they're talking about red state wouldn't call you guys the globalists. All right. Too much globalism. And as you can see from consistent reports emerging from the country, the Brits are being crushed by an authoritarianism that hides its dictatorial behavior behind a mask of social justice. Exactly. It's the same story from the radical left in the UK, as is everywhere else. The UK has benefited from privilege it got through conquest and colonization. Hey, they did a lot of hard work, and therefore it must bring in the third world to make up for it. They believe this shit, no matter how much people suffer and die. Sadly, there is no line where the English people have suffered and shared enough, and I think many Brits are catching on that enough will be enough when they're all dead. Their country is a third world hellhole, and any trace of their culture has been eradicated. Not if you guys are around, because I watch 40 streams every week. As you've likely seen, the English people gathered together for what was estimated to be a 60,000 person march for a Unite the Kingdom rally. As my colleague Nick Arama highlighted, or is it Arama? I don't know. It featured many moments where Prime Minister Keir Starmer was actively made fun of and encouraged to leave office, something that apparently parts of his own party would like him to do. Watching some of the videos from the rally, it becomes really clear what these people are pushing against in particular. It's the Islamic takeover of their country. Many of the displays you saw were geared toward openly rejecting it. Do you guys know who Brigitte Gabrielle is? Any of you guys know that? Who she is? She's an awesome influencer. She's a woman who was a Christian living in Lebanon when it was a Christian country, because Lebanon was a Christian country when the Muslims took it over. And the Muslims took it over by AK-47 and other means, and they did these roadblocks. And if you're driving down, they'd ask for your driver's license. In the Middle East, your driver's license, in most countries, your driver's license has your religion on it. And if you were a Christian, they would shoot you, drag your bodies off, and take the car and give it to an Islamist that needed one. Okay, they did this with the houses over there too. And she was, when she was a little girl, I think she was 7 years old, and they bombed her neighborhood, and her family home collapsed, and they were all under the rubble. They all survived, and for the next 7 years, they had snipers up on the walls that would try to take people out. They didn't want to go down there because a couple of times they sent people down there, they got killed, right? But here the family lived under there, and she said she and her sister, I believe it was, were the ones that had to go move through the rubble because they were the smallest ones. They could get through the rubble down to a creek where they could get water for every day they did this, right? And every day the snipers are trying to pop more people out. There was like 1,000 people in this neighborhood that they all blew up, and they would have a sniper that would take all kinds of shots until one day, it wasn't a Black Hawk, but it was like a Black Hawk, and it flew in out of nowhere, and they just did suppressing fire throughout all of them. And these guys in black outfits rappelled down and went over and grabbed all the people and brought them up like through the whatevers they are. And they had multiple helicopters, and they got them all the hell out of there. It was the Israelis. And the Israelis came in and saved all those people and took them to Israel and said, you're allowed to stay here if you want, or we'll help you, get yourself situated anywhere else you want to go. And that really, the Black Hawk. Yeah, that really happened. And she was one of them, and it affected her so much that she started becoming an influencer when she was old enough, after she went to school and whatnot. Let me see. So let's go. So she writes, brave French activists from Collectif Nemesis stormed the stage at London's Unite the Kingdom rally, ripped off their burqas, and exposed the oppression Islam imposes on women in Western culture. Let's see this. Hopefully I don't get in trouble, but I hope there's nothing. Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing bad.
What's that?
I've seen this clip. There's nothing bad.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I mean, there is if you're a Muslim, but
I mean, are they from the Middle East or something? Are they Muslim?
Yeah, they're what I heard is that they are Iraqi transplants.
Oh, okay.
Iranian transplants.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And if you look at the complexion, it does go along with being Iranian.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, the Iranian. I was watching a video the other day in the 1970s. It was like they had a camera that was going through, their streets and whatnot, thoroughfares. The women, man, they weren't wearing the shit on their head. They were wearing mini skirts. They were beautiful people. The men were beautiful men, right? No homo. And what's it called? They lived their lives. When you asked them, when they surveyed them multiple times throughout the years, they said, who do you like the most? Who would you like to be like? The United States. They wanted to emulate us, and they westernized their country. And then somehow they got fooled into thinking that the Ayatollah, that whole regime would be good for them, right? Because they thought that, like, the Shah of Iran, that he allowed too many things to happen that was like Sodom and Gomorrah like stuff, right? And so they got fooled into it. Well, that's what happens with a regime like that. Like you get to vote him in once and never again. You can't vote anything after that, right? So the downfall of America's cities, LA's homeless magnet. Oh, I think I did that one. Oh, I did read them all. Yeah. So, God, what am I doing? Okay. So let me back to this. Did we read the whole thing? I can't even remember. Oh, yeah. Brigitte Gabrielle. That's right. Let's get back. Sorry, guys. So what did she say? Here's another one.
You want to put your screen up?
Bacon clipped to his shirt. Oh, you got to love it.
You want to share your screen?
Look at that.
You're not sharing.
You what?
You're not sharing.
Oh, I'm not. Oh, crap. Thank you. I thought I was. When am I going to get used to this? It's been what, 2 years? Okay, here we go. Here's a guy that's performing. He has bacon clipped to his shirt. I love it. You gotta love that. It's all. That is awesome.
Is that just to annoy the Muslims?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Do you remember Sarah Palin when she said, "Oh yeah," she says, "We'll take them down." She goes, "And I'll come in there riding a pig." And then there were people who were saying, "Yeah, when we kill them, we should bury them in pounds of bacon in the coffin, so that they'll never get to Allah and all that." So there's a lot of stuff like that. But all right, so let's see. The trolling of Mamdani begins. Let's do that one next. There we go. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is young enough to know how the internet works. What do you think? Mamdani held a Twitch live stream, and it seems the guy running America's biggest city doesn't know how to hire a few chat moderators. Oh, man, Mamdani live stream bombed with images of male anatomy as mayor gets hard lessons. And see what he did there? But no, we're not going to post that. But whatever. So the internet trolls had a ball. So let's see. Chronically online, Mayor Zohran Mamdani was given a hard lesson on how live streams go wrong. And trolls bombed His Honor's weekly Twitch chat show with a hail of penis drawings. Okay, I don't know if I can show those, but Mamdani sat alongside New York City TikToker Moose on the streaming platform Twitch, fielding questions like, "Where can you get the best tacos?" before a near seizure-inducing stream of unmoderated comments appeared on the right side of the screen. With users posting random comments. The decorum of the chat quickly devolved as the unfiltered internet users repeatedly posted images of erect penises with the caption, "Do you like what you see?" It's perhaps fitting that Mamdani is comparing himself to FDR. No one did more to turn the government into a socialist regime, thus extending the pain of the Great Depression. Yeah, it's like every economist worth his salt will tell you that FDR's that is his New Deal program, like it extended the Great Depression beyond 15 more years than it should have. Than FDR. His New Deal policy, all right, there you go, helped create the massive choking bureaucracy that we have today. Much the same way Mamdani's socialist ideals. But let's see. I'll see if I can.
Who I would actually listen to a lot.
Look at this.
Okay, he's not quite underground, but I feel like he never
I gotta
really
keep my
broke
finger
through
on it.
into the mainstream.
Oh,
In
geez.
New York City, there was a 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're not doing that. All right, that's enough. All right, sorry, can't do it. But that is hilarious. Can you imagine he's trying to be taken seriously and they're all doing that? That is awesome. So let's see. Let's go up. Here we go. Yeah, let's do the Cuba with Marco Polo. All right. So Cuba falling. Today is the beginning of the end and Rubio's powerful message. This guy's going to be president someday. Folks, I think we've officially reached the tipping point when it comes to the fall of communist Cuba. If anyone else was president, I wouldn't buy it myself, but Donald Trump is, and I do. Ironically, it happened on May 20th when the country should be celebrating its independence. But it's a day that the regime refuses to acknowledge. Today marks the beginning of the end for the Castro family, Representative Maria Salazar said, following the big news on Wednesday. In case you missed it, that big news was the Department of Justice announcing that it was charging Raul Castro with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, destruction of aircraft, and murder for his role in the shooting down of 2 civilian humanitarian planes that belonged to the group Brothers to the Rescue in 1996. At the time, Castro was Cuba's Minister of Defense and ordered the attack. 3 U.S. citizens and a permanent resident lost their lives. So I consider that 4 Americans. 4 other presidents could have done this, but chose not to, just like they chose to kick the can down the wall on Iran and Venezuela. as acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who I hope becomes the Attorney General, said Tuesday, the United States and Donald Trump will not forget its citizens. If you kill Americans, we excuse me, we will pursue you no matter who you are or no matter what title you hold. And in this case, no matter how much time has passed. The response from the Cuban exile community has been something to watch. This particular interview from Fox News on Wednesday with Cuban-American Oscar Fernandez following the DOJ announcement was particularly touching. The man was so choked up he could barely speak. Quote, it means some justice for the Cuban people. For 67 years, we have been ignored by everybody. Well, let's hear him say it. Here we go.
It means some justice
Some justice.
for the Cuban people.
My nose is itching.
For 67 years, I'm sorry, we have been ignored by everybody. The United Nations,
Yep.
the Organization of American States, the European Union, everybody. So we hope this is the beginning of the downfall of the Castro regime. Sorry, little emotional. And we're ready to go back and help in the reconstruction
Yep.
of our country. With work, with money, with investment. And
Think about that. He was probably a kid when it happened.
with love.
Was a little kid.
That has been lacking in Cuba for the last 6 decades.
Yeah. You know what? You think about it. The Democrats never considered the Cubans Hispanic. Why do you think that is, Jade?
Because they hate communism.
No, the Democrats don't hate communism. They,
No.
yeah, you're right. They hate communism, but I think the real reason in the beginning, like I'm talking 70s, 80s, 90s, well, not 90s, because then they went to communism. But I think the real reason was because when they came to America, okay, they got jobs. They started businesses. They started acting like Americans. They weren't on the dole. They weren't, asking everybody to do everything for them. They didn't, try to kiss the ass of their politicians for more money, more whatever. And the Democrats don't like that.
And they can smell communism a mile away and will never vote for it.
Yeah, and there's an old story where Dinesh D'Souza, when he first came here, okay, he was a student, and he was at a political function, and it was a Democrat function. He was asked to attend. He came here to go to school, right? I think Dartmouth is where he went, and so he said Chuck Schumer, of all people from New York, comes up to him, and here Dinesh had another Indian friend with him. They were talking, and he comes up and Schumer goes, "Hey, you guys," and he goes, "Oh, hi." They all met each other, and he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "You know what the problem is with your kind?" And they're like, "Excuse me, our kind?" I go, "Yeah, you Indian fellows." They're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "You never ask for anything." They're like, "We don't really need anything from the government." No. You got to ask for stuff, and then we'll give it to you. That was the biggest sign that that Chuck Schumer just admitted the Democrats want you dependent on the government. And he said he never forgot that, which is why he then chose go Republican, because I don't want to be that way. Right? The same thing here. These guys would not kiss the Democrats' ass and say, "Oh, we're victims of society, right? Help us. We'll vote for you." No, they didn't. And that's another reason why Elian Gonzalez was thrown back over that communist wall. I mean, could you imagine taking a 10-year-old child during the Cold War and throwing him over the Berlin Wall to the other side? Well, that's exactly what Clinton did, because the Democrats do not like the Cubans, and they still don't like them.
Yeah, because they don't vote Democrat, because they hate communism.
Exactly right. Yeah, Cuba's a shithole, and it didn't have to be. Yeah, the cigars. But you know what I heard? That they went down in quality. Yeah, that's what I heard anyway.
It used to be a party island.
Oh yeah, well under Batiste, yeah, there was child labor law violations. Well, I don't even think they had child labor laws, but there were violations. Yeah, and they said, "Oh, we got to get him out." And Castro promised that it would be a paradise. Yeah, look what happened. Che Guevara came up.
I guess with Batista, it was like an organized crime paradise.
Yeah. Let me see this. Oh yeah, you got to see this. This is hold on. Oh, what the hell? Get out. I'm going to talk about Barney Frank after that. All right, this is Spencer Pratt, and he did a video, and you're going to think it's kind of cringe, but it's actually pretty cool if you figure it out, because it's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's the beginning of the Fresh Prince, right? But he did his own song. So let's go here. Here we go.
Spencer Pratt's
Dana Loesch.
brand new ad. Hey, 90s kids.
Now this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I had to take a minute to run for mayor. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air. In West Los Angeles, Palisades, my backyard is where I spend most of my days, feeding hummingbirds, relaxing all cool, avoiding all the bums outside of the school. And a couple politicians who were up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got at one little fire, my mom got scared and said, "You're moving in with Harvey Levin in Bel Air."
That's funny.
I pulled out from my lot about 7 or 8, and I yelled to the rubble, "Yo, ho, spill you later." I moved to my kingdom, I was finally there to sit on my throne as a prince of Bel Air.
I love that he's driving that Airstream around Bel Air, Beverly
Yeah,
Hills,
I do
all of
too.
it. I love it. It is hysterical. People, they don't know what to do with him out there. They have
know.
no idea what to do with him. He's now in second place.
Yeah,
He
may
is
win.
in second place.
Right. And he's basically saying, guys, I want to replace everything the Democrats have done because they've destroyed the most beautiful state, especially this city. That's what he says all the time.
Yeah, I hear he's number
There.
2 with a bullet, though.
What do you mean?
Oh, when you say like a song is number 2 and it's with a bullet, it means it's going fast. It's going up the charts.
Oh, okay.
So
I never
he's
heard
number
that.
2 with a bullet means he's
Yeah,
moving up. I guess
wow.
you shouldn't say that with respect to politics. I'm sorry. I take it all back.
That's all right. No, it's all right. All right, let's do the next one. CNN is struck by its non-reporting of Minnesota fraud cases. So here we go. Okay. The resident intelligence correspondent for MS Now, or whatever the hell they call themselves this week, Ken Delanian, has very firm opinions about the news released by the FBI. Note the use of the plural form of opinions. A few years ago, there was some contested acceptance of the national crime stats put out by the Bureau, because it was seen by those who actually looked that after a new data collection system was employed, several larger cities were not submitting their crime numbers. This led, unsurprisingly, to sharp drops in crime. Now, you know who the original king of that was? It was Fast Eddie Rendell in Philadelphia when he was the mayor. He wanted to get the GOP convention in Philly, not because he wanted the GOP there, because a convention brings a boatload of money to your city, and that's for business, and that's what he wanted. And so what he did is they had the worst crime rate around. So then he told the police commanders, tell your officers that there are certain types of crimes, they're going to answer them and whatnot, but do not write up the reports. So when you're out if you had to call a cop and a cop wrote up a little report for you, you'd say, can I get a copy of that? And years ago they go, oh yeah, right here, because they had a second piece of paper they tore up. There you go. There's your copy. I was going to give it to you. But now they say, oh, I'm sorry, you got to go to the Roundhouse, which is a building that literally is a round building. It's a police station. It's the administrator's office and all that. And so what Rendell did is he made it so that, like, there was a guy I know when I went to college, and he said, yeah, I got mugged. And he goes, and I asked the cop, can I get a copy of the report? He goes, oh, there'll be no report. And he goes, why? And he goes, I was told not to do reports for this kind of crime. And then so people started looking into it, and they found out that's how the crime dropped so rapidly. So you know, it's like Ed Rendell, man, he lowered the crime rate. No, he didn't do anything. He just wrote the crime rate is lower than it was because they didn't report crime. You don't report crime, your rate goes down. That's what these pricks do. So this led, unsurprisingly, to sharp drops in crime, which the Biden administration was taking credit for. Remember when he said crime went down? It's like, kiss my Irish ass. It did not, despite no real crime initiatives being put into play. At the time, Ken was bitter about anyone who dared question the efficacy of FBI statistics. Now, flash forward to the current day. As the FBI comes out with numbers showing a drop in most major crimes, Mr. Delanian is casting severe doubt on the data in what he would call a Republican fashion. Was it fascism? Yeah, fashion. Okay. All right. So let's see what he says.
The latest numbers from the FBI, which come from cities, by the way, the FBI doesn't make these numbers up, showed that violent crime
Oh, they did under Biden and Obama.
overall declined by a rate of 3% in 2023. The Republicans and others are pushing the narrative that this data is wrong, that crime is somehow up when it's down. Violent crime has declined significantly over the last few years and appears to be continuing to decline. It's a good news story. It's too bad that not everybody is prepared to accept it. Sources are telling us there's no larger number of fugitives or arrestees being taken off the street. It's just simply a numbers game. Remarkable to hear Kash Patel.
I mean, think about this, guys. Tell that to the people in Memphis. Tell that to the people in Washington, D.C. and all the other cities that Trump put his people in there. The FBI raided. They put the troops in there and they cleaned up all the crime that was there. Serious crime. In D.C., the people that lived there for 20, 30 years, they're like, for the first time in years, my kids can go out and play. Because the drive-by is going, that was in our nation's capital. And this clown is saying that the Republic, he's basically saying that our FBI or Trump is lying about it. Go talk to the people in those
Really
cities.
lean into these stats, which our sources say are basically bogus. These stats do not reflect additional suspects.
All right, so let's get on with it. So,
Yeah,
sometimes
before Trump, DC was doing the same thing.
Oh, yes, exactly. Muriel Bowser was a real piece of crap when it came to that.
Yeah, doing the same.
She truly was. Like, she's the one that he asked her before J6. He asked her 5 days before 3 and then 2, and she rejected every time. Would you like to have some National Guard? No, we don't need it. And later she said, well, we didn't like the optics. No, she didn't want to have to. TDS, they didn't want to have to admit that Trump helped them. They took Trump's help because in their world, they should be thrown out of office if you accept Trump's help. And so, 2 women died that day. Sometimes you just end up shaking your head at the activity in the press. We here at RFTH are torn between it being a case of audaciousness and obliviousness. For this example, we lean on the latter, but not in any way excusable, whatever. On Tuesday, Pennsylvania held primary elections. I voted, and USA Today posted the results, sort of. The outlet has claimed that Democrats swept the election and many Republicans have been ousted from office. One major problem. These were, again, primaries, and the state holds closed primary balloting. No office was declared. No party won any seat, and certainly no party switches have taken place. I mean, they don't even understand how a primary works. Think about that. Then they're doing it because they know people are going, we won, yeah, so that they vote again in the midterms. It would seem this was crafted using AI because in many areas, they simply were using the voter turnout numbers in the races. Since the original posting, the outlet has changed the headline and altered some of the copy to reflect that. Now it announces that this story was updated for clarity and to add new information. Holy crap. Oh, wow. We want to suggest they do a follow-up investigation, but really it would be the initial investigation. And one of the more pathetic examples of the condition of our press industry, back in January when Nick Shirley had made tectonic impacts on the fraud found in Minneapolis, the news outlets took action to start investigating Nick Shirley. You remember that? Holy crap.
Yeah.
So the desire not to report on a Democrat-run state committing rampant fraud meant discrediting the MAGA YouTube blogger was the goal. So Shirley was dismissed as a valid news source. Well, they tried that with Matt Drudge, too, but Drudge won the day. Now Drudge is a libna. And the scant investigation CNN undertook involved asking the people who ran these bogus centers if they had committed any fraud. CNN actually went up and said to a fraudster, have you committed any fraud? Oh, no. Well, there you have it, folks. He said no. In a pathetic segment on the network, they filmed their reporter calling the centers to ask if they were committing fraud. That led to predictable results. You got to see.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside.
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
We have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes. The Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed. Did you know They're showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Yeah, what he meant by that showing face, what happens is they have a network of certain moms that have their kids at home, right? And when they get a call, the emergency call or text, they got to show up with their kids. Oh, I'm late. He had a dental appointment today. Yeah, but it's 3:00. Yeah, well, I mean, this is what happened. There's no kids now. They probably called the news themselves. The leaders of this called the news and said, "Look, I want you to film the kids come in." Yeah, okay, gotcha. We're in on it. This shit has got to stop. Pressure get off the pot. Exactly.
I'm a pretty cynical person, and I really knew there was a lot of fraud and abuse going on. I really can't believe, even me, I cannot believe the extent of it.
Oh, I know. It's unbelievable. We knew fraud was there, but who the hell knew? We're talking probably over 100 billion now. When you add,
they're talking
add Washington, California, Minnesota, and New York. Yeah.
Last I heard, somebody was saying something about 150 billion.
That's and you think about it, man. The latest one too. The libnuts are putting this thing out. They're saying, "Oh, we couldn't have money to do X, Y, and Z, but Trump can put all the money he wants to these J6 criminals and whatnot." And I wrote in there, I said, "Look, idiot. Trump used no tax dollars for that. He used his own money, and he got some other billionaire friends of his to donate. And what they're doing is they're helping people that the government weaponized against them and screwed their lives up." And I said, "I'm not talking about the people that were rioting. They threw people in prison who weren't even in the building, right?
They weren't even in the city. Some of them.
They gave a 24-year sentence, right, to Talbot. What's his name? I forget his last name.
The head of the Proud Boys.
Yeah, the Proud Boys, and he was in Maryland at the time. He wasn't even there. Yeah, I know. Where the hell was Bobbity? I don't know. He was here last week. All right. So next one. I won't do that one yet. That was funny. Send him home early. Let's just do this Tulsi song or story.
Yeah, that's pretty sad if that's what's going on.
Well, this is the different one. I'll read the other one. Director Tulsi Gabbard working diligently to declassify controversial FISA court. For you guys across the pond, the FISA court is it's a foreign. It's when you want to investigate a foreigner, okay, you go through the FISA court, and the Operation Crossfire Hurricane that the Democrats did against Trump in 2016, the FBI got themselves into the FISA court. And the reason they did that is because when you're in the FISA court, right, what happens is it's a secret system. So if you're an FBI agent, you're not in the FISA and you got a case and you write your stuff in your logs and all that, you put your 302 data in there and whatnot and all your information. And then anybody else can look that up because they're going, yeah, this guy, I understand he was a key witness. So I want to look him up and see what he did, yada, yada. So, but in the FISA system, nobody can get in unless you were approved by a FISA court to do it. So they didn't want everybody in the FBI knowing that they were scumbags that were trying to weaponize their authority against a guy running for president. So that's why it's very important what's going on here, because they completely bastardized the FISA. And Comey needs to go down for that, even though he won't. Think about this, Jabe. Comey was the one. There were 4 FISA warrants. It was, and people say that they put 4 FISA. No, it was always one. It was always one FISA warrant. But the FISA warrants have to get renewed. I think it's like every 3 or 4 months. And so it was signed the first time and renewed 3 other times. So there were 4 of them. Okay. So Comey signed 3 of the 4, knowing that he was lying. He was lying. It was the dossier, the Steele dossier. Okay. It was garbage. They knew it was garbage. They were informed it was garbage by the persons who wrote its husband, who worked for the DOJ, right? So Bruce Orr. And so he should go down for that, but he's not. He could possibly go down for the seashell incident. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine?
There's another one that I keep wanting to see in an orange jumpsuit, but I don't think you'll ever get there.
I don't think he will either, to be honest with you. All right, here we go. Let's see. Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, is working diligently to declassify a controversial FISA court opinion that would detail the court's concerns with how the federal government conducts searches using Section 702 of FISA. When Congress, I'm going to make this bigger. When Congress moved to temporarily reauthorize Section 702 for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Tom Cotton, Rhino, struck a deal with Senator Ron Wyden, I don't want to say it, also a member of the committee, to send a letter to Gabbard and the Justice Department to declassify a 702 court opinion. The Brennan Center for Justice, liberal, wrote that the Justice Department learned in August 2024 that the FBI has been using a filtering tool that allowed it to query Section 702 data under the radar. This meant that U.S. person queries were not counted, tracked, or audited as required by law. See, they bastardize their own system, and you wonder why nobody trusts them. The center said that the FBI did not record the reasons for these queries or obtain the required attorney supervisory approvals. The Justice Department told the FISA court that it deactivated this tool in early 2025. Section 702 is a surveillance authority meant to be used to spy on foreign adversaries. See, that's why they had to go after Carter Page. Carter Page was an American hero, American patriot. I'm going to say he's a hero. He was an American patriot who had a business that took him to Russia a lot to do business there, meetings, okay? And every time he flew over there, he did like twice a year. Every time he did, right, the FBI would ask him, and the CIA, and would say, most of the CIA would say, can you come back? When you come back, can you debrief us? And can you find out a couple things while you're over there through your story? He went, yeah, sure. And he always did, right? So because it was known that Carter Page went to Russia a lot for business, right? And then he got on Trump's campaign, they wanted to use that with a FISA warrant because of the 2-hop rule. The 2-hop rule in the federal government with the agencies, with the FBI says that if Carter Page got hit with a FISA warrant, he was a target in the FISA warrant. Well, then every person that he talked to on the phone, you may now spy on them as well. It's the 2-hop rule. Hit you, now hit the other people, right? So that's, and because of the position he was in, he spoke to a lot of people in the campaign. So they wanted to get a lot of data that they can make it look like it was a serious problem that they were dealing with Russia, right? It had nothing to do with anything. So they just bullshit lied. Section 702 is surveillance authority meant to be used to spy on foreign adversaries. However, Americans' private communications incidentally get surveilled without a warrant, contrary to the Fourth Amendment protections against warrantless surveillance. But see, also, even with a FISA, if you're listening in on a tape of a phone call that was made, because every phone call is recorded, by Echelon over in England, right? And so if you're you got the headphones on, you're in your little FBI room and you're listening to a phone call with a foreigner, every single time you hear an American on the phone, you have to stop listening by law. They never do, but by law, you have to stop listening because you're violating the Americans' rights, and you got to go ask to have that to get permission to do it. Okay, to be able to listen to. You got to go through a whole process, fill out the paperwork, get an approval, right? That's how serious it is. But these guys didn't do any of that. They didn't follow the rules at all because they thought Hillary was going to win and sweep it all under the rug. So the New York Times and the Washington Post, two liberal rags that the only good place for them is the bottom of a dirty birdcage, have reported how the FISA court issued an opinion in March that is still declassified and may reveal startling issues with how intelligence agencies conduct surveillance by skirting rules created by the Reforming Intelligence and Securing America Act, the RISA Act, the last long-term 702 authorization bill. Who is this woman? She's all over the page. The FISA court opinion reportedly states that the FBI may be using a similar tool that could scratch. Yeah, let me get to the good part. Okay. So where's the good part? Because this is boring me already. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has coordinated closely with the Congress to inform them, to keep them apprised of the process and the status of the declassification review. An Intel official told Breitbart News. The opinion that needs to be declassified is reportedly extensive and contains pages of sensitive intelligence. Look, long story short, right? Tulsi Gabbard, for over the first year, 2025 of the term, was the only one that was doing criminal referrals. She was the only one, and Pam Bondi wasn't doing jack shit. So now Tulsi's out, right? She resigned because of her husband, right? And you think anybody else is going to be this diligent? Like to actually try? Like, look how hard I'm reading through this stuff and my eyes are glazing over. And that's the shit that she has to put up with every single day to try to get justice from her own people that work for her. They're still withholding. It's crazy.
Hopefully Trump can find somebody just as good.
Yeah, exactly. Anglo, what's up, man? Will you be at? Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. Absolutely, man. Yeah, I try to get there every single Saturday, unless I have something that I had pre-planned. Like a couple weeks ago, I had to go to a party, a birthday party, or actually, it was a wedding. Sorry, it was a wedding. But let's see. And thank you again. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let me see. Gavin Newsom. Mitch. Yeah, this is good. The old Gavin Newscum. Let me see. So there we go. Gavin Newsom admits Trump was right. Cosplays white collarist populace. California Governor Gavin Newsom is transforming himself into a 2028 populist for the white-collar middle class, now threatened by ruthless layoffs and accelerating artificial intelligence. And you know what? I know a lot of people are against AI, but here's the thing. Whoever wins the AI war wins the century. That's just the way it is, right? And so I think we should win it over China, because China would use it on us. You know, I think we should. It was like the whole nukes race, right? We had a nukes race. Why would you want nukes? I would rather. Well, I'll tell you what. We got to have nukes so that we can suppress the others from using nukes on us, right? Mutually assured destruction. Well, same thing with AI right now, right? So Gavin Newsom, I'm getting rid of AI because the libnuts would say, you can't use AI, right? And so we would get screwed by enemies of the country that would use AI against us. All right. There's a reason Donald Trump's in office. There's a reason Bernie Sanders fills stadiums. They're both right on the diagnosis. Oh, can you believe he said? Newsom told a May 19 meeting held by Pro-Migration Center for American Progress. Quote, the pitchforks, yeah, they're here. They're not just coming, Newsom said, who is widely expected to run for president in 2028. Never, his wife's going to take him down. With much financial support from California's tech sector. He explained the public's alarm at economic trends as he casually excused himself and his progressive allies from any blame, of course. And the fact of the matter is, over the next few months, you're going to start to see our economy turning around. You're going to start to see it because all the shit is now coming. They're building the manufacturing plants now, right? Gasoline's going to go down because he's ending. He just said we're going to end it if they don't do what we ask them to do. I think by next week or 2 weeks, he said we're just going in and make glass out of it. That's my words, not him. The system's broken. It's broken. I saw this idiot saying, what was he talking about? He was talking about it was fraud in California. He goes, we have fraud. That's taxpayer money. I'm like, yeah, dude, you asshole. You're the one that ran the state. You know, you're the one that should have been on that, and you weren't. And you're trying to act like, you know, you're the only one that can solve it. It's your fault, right? So the system's broken. It's been broken, folks. 10% of the people own 2/3 of the wealth This was it. The same 10% own 93% of the value of the stock market. A 30-year-old is not doing better than her father for the first time. Yeah, and your gasoline is over $7, asshole. So take all the state taxes off of it. Give the people a chance. Oh, we can't do that. What about, the wild sloth that is on the endangered species list? That is a 5-alarm fire, he said. We saw with all the populism and authoritarian that came from that because of the lousy trade deals, we ain't seen nothing yet, because now it's the blue-collar worker that sounds a lot like 25-year-old white-collar workers that I see in San Francisco that are wondering why they're not getting a call back on a job interview. They're sounding the same. That's a different kind of coalition, a white-collar and blue-collar coalition. I don't begrudge other people's success. I admire, he does begrudge it because they're not dependent on him. I admire it. Now, can't be pro-job and anti-business, but businesses can't thrive in a world that's failing, and it's failing. It's not failing. I mean, you need GoFundMe page now if you want to have a major medical issue. Oh, if you have a major medical issue, literally. No, not literally. In your state, you got the biggest fraud in Medicare and all the other things that have to do with medicine. The biggest fraud around. I have a friend, God is my witness, Suleiman, yesterday literally sent me a GoFundMe. The guy has 2 or 3 jobs and now a GoFundMe. What the hell was that? Well, you should have hired your friend to a meaningless no-show job in the state. That's what you do for your other buddies, right? We've seen AI is going to detonate all of this. And it's happening in real time, and we're not talking about that. It's taking the
What's with the girls? What's with the
I
girls?
don't know, man. These are all the ads that they're putting up. I have no idea.
Mature dating.
Girls online. Oh, that is great. Dating. It's all dating stuff.
Senior singles.
I know. I was saying, who is this woman? Because she's like all over the page, and this one too. It's just unbelievable. So let me get to the bottom. Newsom, for example, dodged the issue that the government-sponsored white-collar migration that has pushed millions of white-collar Americans out of Fortune 500 careers and prosperity. He also ignored the disastrous impact of legal and illegal blue-collar migration on California's housing costs, wages, and economic equality. Right. Roughly 8 million foreigners filled 22% of the nation's 32 million white-collar science, technology, and engineering jobs, including 1/3 of the high-tech jobs, according to a February report by the federal government. In 2023, that huge population included roughly 2 million Indians, said the report titled U.S. STEM Workforce, Size, Demographic Characteristics, and Labor Market Outcomes. Now, remember, guys, all throughout the Biden years, that most of the jobs that went to Americans were those part-time jobs. Most of the full-time jobs went to illegal freaking aliens. We know this. It's been shown. Illegal aliens. Federal migration programs allow managers to quietly sell Americans' white-collar jobs to migrants, help investors, and accelerate outsourcing to India to help CEOs divert salaries from most American white-collar workers to Wall Street investors. But on May 14th, Newsom's press office denounced Trump's modest curbs on one of many white-collar visa programs. Let's just see what he says. Trump's war on innovation. Okay, here we go. Trump's immigration crackdown is hurting California's economy because you have so many illegals. Slashing student and H-1B visas because you abuse them. Cutting legal immigration and worsening workforce shortages across key industries. Like, think about this. I think we have too many legal immigrants coming in. I mean, think of what was the last great wave? It was Italians. So when we brought the Italians in, right, when we allowed them to come in, there were a lot of Italians that came in. I think it was like 10 years. We shut down immigration for 10 years. And why do you think we did that, Jade? What did they want them to do?
They felt they'd had enough, evidently.
Well, yeah, but they wanted them to assimilate. They wanted to give the immigrants a chance to assimilate into the American life, right? They do this all the time. When the Germans came over, they cut it out for 5 or 10 years because they wanted them to assimilate. Now we just bring people from every shithole in the world, and we don't even ask them to assimilate. We don't even get their freaking name when they come in. We don't do health tests, nothing. For 4 years, we had upwards of 20 million people, and nobody knows who the hell they are.
And roughly 50% of these immigrants are on social assistance programs, and that varies by the country they're from. If you're talking Afghanistan, and well, like Afghanistan is like 73% are on social assistance programs.
Yep.
And
they're just here for the money.
Yeah, I forget the other one that was all the way up there too. I'll think of it in a second.
Yeah, they're all just here, they're here for the paycheck.
Yeah, but
So-
like if you look at like Japanese, it's more like 10%.
Right.
You know,
because they work. Gavin wants California college grads to compete with third world imports for wages, college seats, housing, etc. Gavin will never say Californian children come first. He actually agrees with Trump on selling out college grads using foreigners just for different reasons. Wait a minute. Trump never sold out college grads using foreigners. Trump, what is this idiot say? Trump is the one who told the colleges you can no longer bring these kids in on these visas. Remember that? He did that last year. He told the colleges to knock it off because what they were doing is they were knocking out U.S. students to bring the foreigners in, because the foreigners, for whatever reason, were getting money from either their government or our government to pay for their tuition, and they could raise their tuition because they were paying the money up front. The fix, Newsom said, is a major overhaul of the nation's workplace rules. And wow, just shut the hell up. We don't need to see it. So he's trying to act like he gives a shit about the people because it's an election year. What's wonderful? Oh, you lost 40 pounds? Cool. Good for you, man. I think I found them. Here, let's go. Single chart. This is great. Okay. Single chart shows DNC's downfall among the American electorate since 2009. This is Western Journal. A single chart shows the losses the Democrats have experienced in both federal and state offices to Republicans since 2009. The chart was part of a 2024 election autopsy released Thursday by the Democratic National Committee. Quote, the sad truth is Democrats have lost ground at every level from inconsistent messaging and improper planning. No, I think they were very consistent with their messaging. They were screwing you, and you were supposed to accept it. Even as the policies the party advocates continue to earn voter support at the ballot box. They really don't. But ballot measures for Medicaid expansion, nonpartisan redistricting, nonpartisan. Hello, Virginia? Wage increases, family leave, and reproductive freedom have passed in states where Democrats remain locked out of statewide offices. This divergence means the party and our candidates have lost the confidence and trust of voters. Gee, you think? In the face of misinformation, there we go. There we go. That is so COVID. In the face of misinformation and disinformation, our candidates have proven incapable of projecting strength, unity, and leadership. So in other words, it's not the fact that their ideas suck, that they really ran out of ideas. So all they do is they spread hatred against Republicans, and they offer the goodies, the freebies, right? Instead of that's all they can possibly do because they don't know how to make American people's lives better, they blame misinformation and disinformation. Good Lord. He included a chart in his report which shows that over 16 years, from 2009 to 2025, Republicans have gained 13 seats in the U.S. Senate and 41 seats in the House compared to that. Now let's go over it. There we go. So a brutal chart from the DNC autopsy. So we got to go in actually to see the larger. Okay, there it is. 2009, 2025, and the change. Look at that. Senators, Congress, governors, state legislatures, and state trifectas. So we have from 2009, we went 60 for Democrats, 40 Republicans. And then we do 2025, 47 Democrats, 53 Republicans, plus 13 from 2009. So in 2009, in Congress, the House, 256 Dems, 178 Republicans. Now it's 215 to 220, plus 41. Governors, 28 to 22. Now it's 23 to 27. So you know what that means? Right now, we own it all. We have more governors as Republicans and both majorities of the House, and we got the White House. So but that's pretty important because there's a lot of things that depend on that. Like, for example, if you go back to the Bush v. Gore in 2000, right, There was no way Al Gore was ever going to win the presidency, and he knew it. He knew it. There's no way he didn't know. He knew it, and he pushed for the lawsuits anyway. He did it anyway. Just the F with W. All right. So, and the reason why that is if you can't decide if it's a tie, and you can't decide, they just can't decide, then it goes to the House of Representatives. All right. If the Republicans were the majority at that time in the House, so they would have lost. That Gore would have lost. So then it would go to the Senate. We were in the majority in the Senate, so would have lost there. The third place they go is out to the states. We had more red states. He never would have won, but being the prick that he is. But that's a lot of a shift when you think about it. Big shift. Oh. Let's do a video. See who we can get. Yeah, this guy. Hold on, let's see. Oops. Come on. Present screen share. There we go. So let's see. Minnesota fraud suspect Mohammed Omar leaps from a 4th floor balcony.
And did he survive?
Yeah, because they still want him. Hold on. Oh, they don't show it. Let's just see this.
The man in this video, he is a charged defendant named Mohammed Omar. Mohammed Omar
Well, maybe we will see
is
it.
the man in this video. He is charged, one of the 15 defendants charged in the fraud cases that we have brought today. And I would encourage the public to help turn this man in to face justice
He jumped
for
40
the
feet
fraud
down.
that he has perpetrated, and now
40
to
yards.
face the additional charges for seeking to flee from law enforcement and seeking to obstruct justice by virtue of his conduct today.
Wow. Let's see. Are they going to play it? Nah, they don't have it. Let's see what this guy says.
Begin my crux of my remarks. I need your help. On the screen, you will see a subject. You will see a subject depicted on the screen here of an individual who was a target of the investigation this morning. That individual is currently on the
Same
run
guy.
after having jumped out of a 4th store
Let's see. Look at this.
balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll
Wow,
see
he
him,
jumped.
you'll
Look
see
at
him
these.
running here. He is currently
He's
on
limping.
the run. We need your help. If you recognize this
He's jumped
individual,
down
if you
4
know
floors.
this individual,
And was able to run away.
provide
Yeah,
any
but he's
information
limping
related
bad.
to this related to this individual,
Yeah, I'm
Look at
not
him.
surprised.
call 1-800
He's hopping.
FBI CALL FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.
Yeah, whatever. You know what gets me, though? Think about this. Okay, ready? So, and I'm not trying to be naive here, but if I go to another country, all right, even if I'm on vacation, I'm not going to break the law left and right, to try to make my way, right? But of the 20 million, what do you think the percentage, and I don't have the answer, what do you think the percentage is of people that came from those third world shitholes that's just the way they do things? So they came here and thought they could rape and murder young girls, all right? That they could just steal, commit fraud, break into stores, kill the owner, take their money and product, Like, think about the large amount of people that are doing that.
Listen, when you have to have
It's a different culture.
when you have to have intake briefings for men from certain cultures and tell them that it's not okay to rape young women,
Right.
and they look at you going, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
That's the difference between.
You mean we can't rape them when we're in mosque? No, you can't rape women. Oh, you mean we can't rape them as we're sleeping? Oh, okay. No, you can't rape women.
Oh, you mean we can't rape Muslim women?
No, you can't rape any women. Oh, wait a minute. What are you, crazy? We rape women. That's what we do. Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Yeah, it's just.
I know
it boggles
Sweden.
the mind.
Sweden had to give classes to the young Muslim men that were coming in, telling them you don't rape women. You go to prison for that here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And they rape the women anyway.
Yeah. Like in London, they don't even care. They got gangs running around, Pakistani gangs running around. And
With the help of police. I don't know what that means.
PDF files? Pedophiles?
Yeah. Oh, pedophile. Oh, okay. Pedophile with the help of the
That's, I guess, the newest buzzword. Yeah. And the London government and London police wouldn't let you suggest that there were Pakistani gangs, Pakistani Muslim gangs. I mean, they would literally arrest someone for saying that because they're hate speech.
We're going to go to crankers. So this is a criminal on probation is crying about having to do work.
Me, when I just got asked to do slave labor by the fucking United States government, I hate this fucking country. Let me tell you all a story, okay? So I'm a felon. I'm on probation. No, I'm not a criminal. Big difference, okay? And I went down to my probation office.
If you're a felon, that means you've been convicted of a crime. You're a criminal.
Today, and I was talking to the lady, and I was like, let me get my community service hours. Like, I need them now. Like, can you assign me some community service so I can just get out of the way, right? Boom. This lady gives me a paper for the community service people. I'm reading this paper. It is for some random ass corporation. They wanted me to work for literally some random ass corporation doing retail. They wanted me to do free labor for a fucking retail company. The United States. They were about to assign me slavery. Slavery.
Wrong. You would have been paid 35 cents an hour.
For some random fucking retail corporation.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
As community service.
Yeah.
I literally.
That's what she just admitted as community service. So it's not slavery, it's community service.
I looked my officer in the face. I got this paper. I looked at it, I was like, are you serious? And I told her, I was like, no, put me as a soup kitchen. Put me as literally anything else. I'm not doing slave labor for a fucking retail company. Are you kidding me? Like, what? I could not even believe, especially considering she's a black lady. I'm like, how on earth are you going to pull up a slavery document, ask me to sign it? No, nigga, give me a soup kitchen.
Oh,
like,
yo. Jesus, I can't have that word on here. Now I got to cut that out.
Wait. I'm a felon, but I'm not a criminal.
Right. Exactly.
In what world?
Oh, I know. Crazy, huh? I'm trying to find one.
What is the color of the sky in your world?
Yeah, really. I know. I mean, she said it was slavery, but then she said as community service. Which is it? Right?
Okay, and you can always choose to go back to jail, honey.
Right. Exactly. Let me see which one. Yeah, this is good. All right, hold on. We got to watch this one. This is Tim Pool destroying a guy about Trump being convicted. Okay. I'll tell you what his argument is. He answered the guy, well, he's convicted of 34 crimes. And he goes, no, he wasn't. And he goes, yes, he was. You're telling me he wasn't? He goes, no, he wasn't. Bobbity's here. Bobbity. There you are, brother. Good to see you, man. Somebody was asking about you. He must have started itching. Somebody's talking about it. Yeah, good to see you, brother. Yeah, but where do you see how he explains it? And I'm like, damn, Tim Pool was right. All right, so let's bring it up. Hold on. You guys are going to want to watch this. This is like mastery. So let's see.
Shouldn't argue without knowing the facts. Brian Shapiro gets mangled by Tim Pool.
The jury did not find Donald Trump guilty.
Correct. Yes.
Watch.
What was he charged with?
Wait, you just said a jury did not find him guilty.
Indeed, that's correct.
Where are you getting that from?
Because Trump was never actually charged with any real crimes. It is indeed a fact.
The jury found him guilty.
Of what?
Did you guys know that? There's no underlying crime that Trump was charged with. To this day, nobody knows what he was convicted of. Therefore, there's no crime. And just listen. I won't.
Of what? Okay. Of what? You say 34 count felon.
Of what?
Okay. Well, did he not? I'm answering it. I'm answering it. Did he not make up and falsify business records?
He did not.
He did not.
That wasn't the case. Did you watch? Did you check?
I did.
So who actually?
So he didn't break the law.
Who was accused of it?
He didn't break the law.
Donald Trump was accused of misdemeanor falsification of business records by instructing a lower staffer. We don't know he actually instructed.
Right.
All because of Cohen making a claim about paying Stormy Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
This cannot be upgraded to a felony because it's what's called requiring an underlying crime, which never in the history of the United States has been done before. Donald Trump, in this charge, was convicted falsely.
So the judge got it wrong. The courts got it wrong.
Absolutely.
But you got it right.
What was the underlying crime?
The problem I have.
Answer the fucking question.
What was the underlying crime? 34 counts.
Of what?
Okay. Falsifying business records. Was
underlying crime. Name it.
I don't have it right in front of me.
There isn't one.
Okay, but so you're saying that the judge got it wrong, the jury got it wrong, he had the right to defend
himself. For the love of all that is holy, this is the
problem
with this country.
They all got it wrong.
What is the underlying crime?
He was convicted in a court of law, Tim.
What? Oh my God. What is the underlying crime?
What is the underlying crime?
Okay, let's stop. What was he charged with? Just give me the sentence. Give me the single phrase.
What I know is that he was a 34-count felon convicted.
Oh my God!
That's what I know.
What was he charged with?
You don't know anything.
I don't have the case right in front.
You don't know. You are in a cult. You are a cultist.
How am I a cultist?
You don't know what you're talking about, and you're zealously arguing for it.
I don't know what I'm talking about. You're the one who just looked me in the eye and told me that a jury did not find him guilty. Now you can
stop. Let's try this again. What was he charged with?
Again,
you don't know. Do you know or do you not know?
He falsified business records. Okay.
What's the charge?
I don't have the charges.
You don't know, do you?
I don't have it right in front of me. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong with what I'm saying.
It certainly does, because you don't know what you're talking about.
So he wasn't found guilty in a court of law.
He was not found guilty in a court of law.
That's the only point I was making.
Of a criminal action for which falsification was an aggravated factor. You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
It is one of the most controversial cases in U.S. history, where for the first time, an aggravated charge was placed without the government proving an underlying case.
Exactly.
They upgraded misdemeanors, which require an underlying crime, but they never proved a crime actually happened.
Boom, roasted.
This is why. Was that not good?
That's good. The only thing he didn't add is the judge's jury instructions was that they didn't need to agree on an underlying crime.
They could have one of three different things.
Yeah, but they didn't have to. He said, don't worry about that. Just like.
Right. And you know why? We all know why. Because all they wanted was the headlines, convicted felon.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted. Yeah. Because they wanted to be able to say that enough times that people wouldn't vote for Trump. How'd that work out for them? Wait a minute. This guy falls all over the internet, and I don't mean Tim this time. Yeah. Tim Pool can be good. He could be wrong on a few things, in my opinion, but he's usually right on a lot of what he does, what he talks about. But that one was brilliant, and I always said all along they upgraded statute of limitations already over misdemeanors on documents charges to federal felonies, right? You can't. I mean,
you can't.
A state prosecutor is not allowed to work in the federal system. That's why it's two different systems. You can't even ask for permission. They'd be like, "No, what are you nuts?" It's like the feds can't work in the state system.
Yeah,
right. But he allowed it because they just wanted the conviction.
Yeah, Smith would have had to be. I don't know what the process is, but he would have had to be allowed, like certified to work in that system.
Right. And the thing is that. So think about it. He took documents charged, meaning he signed something, falsely signed something, didn't cross his T, dot his I, didn't fill out a certain page, right? That's very low level misdemeanor, right? So they converted to the statute of limitations ran out 6 years prior. So they took crimes that were a statute of limitation ran out already. You can't even touch it. And they made them federal felonies for elections. And then to make it insult to injury, whatever they call it. The judge turns around and declines the defense to be able to bring in a witness who was a Federal Elections Commission executive who was going to testify Trump violated no federal election laws. So the jury never heard that argument. Never heard it because they dismissed the jury while they argued it. And the judge was like, no, I'm not going to allow it. Why? I'm just not going to allow it. Why? What hat? What are you talking about? Which hat?
I'm not wearing a hat.
You mean on Tim Pool? The hat? He always wears a hat. He's probably bald. I don't know why. Angelo, what are you talking about? The hat. Let me see what Bob would you say? Statute of limitations is constrained. Just like the statute. Yeah. Pim Tool. That's funny. Let's see. Let's see. Here's another funny one. This is good. Watch this. I think she's on to something. Here we go.
Feminism is a scam. A few years ago, I was an angry, blue-haired feminist. I once believed that male privilege was real and that I was a victim of the wage gap. Now that I understand the true motives of feminism, I know that this could not be further from the truth, and that modern-day feminism is a war on true masculinity. Before women had the right to vote, most were stay-at-home wives, which meant they weren't working jobs and couldn't be taxed. Our overlords didn't like that. Rockefeller started funding feminist campaigns in media, and as a consequence of the movement, women started entering the workforce and leaving the home. Children would then be separated from their parents and sent to Rockefeller-funded schools to be indoctrinated by the state. All of this ultimately disrupting the family unit at its core. Feminism is defined as the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. But in the West, I must ask, what rights do men have that women don't? Modern feminists are convincing women that hookup culture, using hormonal birth control, and not shaving is liberation, that toxic masculinity is prevalent and the patriarchy must be dismantled. Through movies and media, we're taught that working for the man, climbing the corporate ladder, and paying tax is more empowering and valuable than raising the next generation. Women have lost touch with our natural loving instincts, and birth rates are plummeting. Feminism.
How about her? Think about that. She's right. Let me see. The cases against Trump lacked standing because everyone was falling over laughing at how stupid and permanent these Democrat idiots made it. That is true. And think about it. That is true. And they all think that the DOJ going after them for weaponizing the government is them weaponizing the government. Yeah. Yeah, she had it right, didn't she? Definitely had it right. Here, I made a wonderful horse the other day. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's see. I gotta shut these all down. Okay, next story. Barney Frank. Long farewell to Stephen Colbert. Let's do that one. Stephen Colbert, what a piece of crap. Let's see. The long farewell to Stephen Colbert is finally over. Now we can laugh at the grave mourning of his loss. Thursday evening finally saw the arrival of Stephen Colbert's departure, an event that began to feel like the ever-distant horizon never being reached. Since the announcement last summer of the cancellation of The Late Show by CBS executives, it has been a long slog of guests paying tribute and of media commemorations. One would think this was Patrick Mahomes being drafted and sent off to war in Iran. Brian Stelter, all this week, was especially moved by the demise of this show, as his frequent appearances across the shows on CNN and his social media timeline becoming a thread of Colbert obsession tests. Let's see what.
Yeah, well, in the short term, Jimmy Kimmel at ABC and Jimmy Fallon at NBC, they might benefit from having one fewer competitor on the late night airwaves. You know, some Colbert fans will probably gravitate toward Kimmel and his anti-Trump commentary in particular. But competition has historically made late night better. It makes these shows funnier and more interesting. So this is a bleak moment for the late night TV industry writ large. And the problem, Wolf, is fundamentally an advertising problem. We don't usually talk about it this way, but because the media world has fragmented, splintered into a million bite-sized pieces, with everyone getting customized, personalized feeds of content on their phones.
No, it's because you suck.
Advertisers now have so many more ways to get in front of viewers. And that is why CBS is ultimately not able to make as much money anymore.
No, think about it. Conservatives that go online with their own podcasts, they're making gazillions. Brian, you can't even get a fucking job, and CNN threw it at you because they got rid of everybody else and they figured you were harmless. Your ratings just suck.
With an expensive, big production like The Late Show. So the business model pressure is real.
He was losing $40 million a year for the network.
But the political pressure is real too.
$40 million a year.
Yes.
I mean, how many years are they going to put up with that?
Yeah, but it's all Trump.
Doing a dance routine. Fauci.
Yeah,
that's right.
I was just thinking about him dancing with the syringes.
Yeah. Unreal. Well, it's insanity. Sweden, I mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah, now they got to go back and get rid of Jimmy Kimmel as well.
Yeah.
But he's already on a timeline, I think. They've already said they're canceling his show.
Who?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, yeah. He'll blame Trump like everybody else.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But for him, it's going to be end of contract. They're just not renewing because there's another one that's losing $40 or $50 million a year.
Yep. It's because they stopped being funny. They went all political. There we go. The downfall of America's cities, LA's homeless magnet effect exposed. Yeah. All right. Bring it up a bit. All right. In all matters, social, cultural, and economic, incentives matter. People will do what, as they see it, gets them something they want. A better job, a bigger house, a lower tax rate, lower gas prices, and other people will do what gets them what they want. Squishy, permissive local laws on homeless encampments and all the drugs and crime that go with it. That's human nature 101. It always has been and always will be. Here's the problem. A lot of our nation's major city governments seem to not have taken human nature 101. Despite a fundamental misunderstanding of the homelessness problem, they see it as primarily a housing issue and remain squishy on enforcement. They hand out free needles, provide safe spaces for shooting up, and when a homeless person is arrested, they are all too often back on the streets within hours. This allows the massive homeless encampments to fester because they're getting money, kickbacks, to the drugs to flow and the crime to spike. Meanwhile, they throw money at non-solutions while continuing policies that just attract more homeless people, many addicts, and many criminals. Case in point, Los Angeles. A recent study has shown that as many as 2/3 of LA's homeless population came there from somewhere else, drawn by the city's permissive policies. What do you think?
I think that it's a great idea if all of Denver's homeless move to LA. I think that'd be great.
Now you get them there. Say, look, they got more free shit, and it's always warm. You can live outside and not have a blanket.
Yep. Anybody that hasn't figured it out, hand out pamphlets.
A recent City Journal piece by authors Christopher Rufo and Kenneth Schrupp has details. Los Angeles hosts the nation's largest unsheltered homeless population. In recent years, despite billions in city and county spending, LA's once pristine streets have become littered with tents, drugs, and feces. Oof. City leaders have made elaborate promises about managing the homeless problem. Gavin Newsom, for like 20 years, has been fighting homelessness, but it got worse and worse every single year. But few seem to have asked a simple question. Where exactly are these people coming from? There is a reason for that. In 2020, the City County Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority found that 1/3 of unsheltered Angelenos became homeless outside of Los Angeles County. In 2024, the nonprofit Rand Corporation reported that 41% of street homelessness surveyed across 3 Los Angeles neighborhoods, Hollywood, Venice, and Skid Row, were last housed somewhere other than LA County. They're coming from elsewhere because they see some advantage in being in Los Angeles. Duh. And these people, mind you, aren't exactly hopping on an airliner with a checked bag to move to LA, there to live on the streets. Some may be driving old cars on their last legs. Some may be taking buses. Some, for all we know, may be walking or hitchhiking. No matter how they do so, these people are undergoing a significant journey because they are drawn to California in general and Los Angeles in particular, and that can only be because the state of affairs in Los Angeles is attracting them. This is why I said Biden's plan, the Democrats' plan, Biden didn't even know where he was most of the time, was to bring in upwards to 20 million illegals, okay? They would spread them out in all the states, red and blue, right? And then when the census was coming up to 2030, like a year prior to that, they'd say, go, and they'd all flood to the blue states. Why? Because the blue states with the blue states that needed more population, California, Illinois, and mostly New York, okay? So they would say, all right, we're now going to give out free health care and $1,000 a week to our undocumented migrant friends. Shit, they'd leave a red state where they got to work and go over to, wouldn't you? Holy crap, I would too. So they would get that population. And Chief Justice Roberts, asshole, once said that he ruled that the Democrats, yes, you can count illegals in a census. Makes no sense to the rest of us, but here we are, right? I wish he'd revisit that, but that's what they're doing. So they wanted to get all those people back by doing exactly what they're saying here. Hey, let's just, let's offer benefits and they'll be coming out. And they're not coming quick enough, just like Biden did. Newsom is actually flying them in, bringing them here. Let's see. LAHSA and RAND dropped this work like a hot potato when the data went public. Both reports cut against the narrative of left-wing politicians and activists who insist that any claim that out-of-town homeless are flooding LA is a myth. In 2021, they stopped publishing previous location data. In 2025, RAND removed the metric from the organization's annual report and included it in a separate, lesser-read annex. Now, why did they do that? We asked the two why they buried this data. Has said it stopped publishing previous location figures because of respondents' varying interpretations of the question. RAND claimed that it moved the data to the annex due to a need to save costs on publishing. Really? You don't publish an annex? And confirmed that the data would remain there in the group's upcoming report. In other words, city officials, I'm looking at you, Mayor Bass, were likely embarrassed by the results. That's too bad. Policy decisions must be driven not by feelings, not by embarrassment, but by data. And the data here plainly shows that for whatever reason, these homeless people are flocking to Los Angeles, and their presence is ruining the city. Here's the problem. The City of Angels may be vastly underestimating these numbers. Quote, we spent 2 days recreating RAND's 2024 study of LA's homeless population using a slightly larger sample size to ensure precision. We approached people on the streets of the same 3 neighborhoods, Hollywood, Venice, and Skid Row. And after identifying ourselves, asked more than 200 homeless people a simple question. Where are you originally from? The results were astounding. 64% of LA street homeless said that they were from outside the city of Los Angeles, and 53% say they were from outside Los Angeles County. See, the city, it's just like Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. It's a city and a county in itself. A significant increase compared with the 2 studies prior. Nearly 40% told us they were from other states, mostly from states that voted for President Trump in 2024. Yeah, because then guess what? Those red states stopped giving the money and the freebies out. 6% told us that they were from other countries, including Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea. That's a staggering result. You think? How about that? Let me see. Okay, I have to go deal with an. Oh, sorry, bro. All right, man. I'll talk to you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I was going to bring you in on the next segment. I say, is that Mayor Bass or Mayor Bass? That's right. If you bring them, they will eat. Yeah, people bang on about the natural wood yet. That's exactly right. Chat, love you all. Sorry, I have to go. That's cool, man. Yeah, I hope everything's all right. All right, man. Maybe talk later.
Sounds like somebody's car broke down and he has to go get them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you're back early enough, hit me up, man. The left's lack of moral. Yeah, here we go. This will be a good one. The left's lack of moral compass leaves it in a perpetual state of conflict with the world. Marx, Karl. Okay. If you watched the season finale of The Boys, never saw one episode, then you were probably as let down and annoyed as everyone else was. If you didn't watch it or don't even know what I'm talking about, then let me sum up what went down. The main villain of the show was turned into an analog of Donald Trump, and he was killed off after pathetically begging for his life with promises of sexual favors and eating feces. Well, there you go. That's why I didn't watch it. He was a Superman kind of figure, a man with super strength, laser eyes, and flight, and his name was Homelander, just to drive the point home that he was kind of America's superhero. It was pretty clear to everyone that the writers were living out an anti-Trump fantasy. But what was interesting about this one is that they made this allegory, an all-powerful demigod-like figure took his power and then killed him in a way that exposed his true character. Without his power, he's a cowardly brat, which is something that's more or less spoken aloud by the protagonist before he deals the final blow. I'll spare you the clip because the show isn't really the point. It's what was represented. It's a common theme you see throughout many leftist creations, and it's that power is ultimately evil, and anyone who has it is ultimately villainous. In the leftist mind, there is no good or evil. Morality is wholly subjective. The only thing that is black and white is power structures, right? The haves and the have-nots, the oppressors and the oppressed. The haves are bad. The have-nots are good. The have-nots cannot be evil because they sit at the bottom of the power structure. And as a result, anything they do is fine, including murder, rape, drugs, all that shit, right? They can, hold on. Somebody sent me something. Okay. They can steal, assault, even rape and kill, and justifications will be made to keep the holiness of the have-nots intact. It's true. You see it every time. A good example of this is Luigi Mangione, who stands accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. As I wrote back in April of 2025, Taylor Lorenz called the act revolution. She's an idiot.
She's a piece of shit.
Yeah, she really is. She doxed the hell out of people, and then when they doxed, and she defended, well, I'm just doing the news. Like, if something happens to them, then they deserved it. And then somebody doxed her, and she's sitting on the video crying, saying, "I can't believe they doxed me." It's like, oh Jesus, you know.
And did you see the response of the reporter? Oh, you poor dear, basically.
Yeah, I know, and I think that word is very poignant. Because to the left, revolution is kind of the only thing they see as the ultimate good. Revolution means displacement of the powerful, who are the ultimate evil. So revolutions or revolutionary actions like murder are, in the minds of the left, moral actions. The issue is that the lack of a real moral compass doesn't give them a point where they've accomplished their ultimate fix for their ultimate problems. If they do succeed in killing the powerful people in charge, they would just be replaced with a new set of powerful people. If they collapse the system they see as oppressive, they would only replace it with a system that promoted a different group of people to be more powerful than the rest. They will never see an end to the enemies they have to defeat. There will always be a new group of haves lording over the have-nots, right? Brian Thompson was murdered, and United Healthcare just replaced him with Tim Knoll. Did we just dox Tim Knoll? Mangione ultimately accomplished nothing except maybe getting the next guy in line promoted. Exactly. The company is still going. No revolution actually took place, but in the minds of the left, they truly think they did something great. A murder took place, but that murder resulted in the death of someone considered powerful. So this revolutionary act was a moral practice. This is how fucked up these people are. The cycle cannot end. They're locked into this perpetual state of fighting the man that logically cannot end until there's one person on earth. It's anti-civilization, but the left has made it very clear that civilization is a problem on many levels. It is the same left that champions anti-nationalism, after all. If the ultimate good is to kill everyone a little better than you, then leftism is truly a selfish and disgusting ideology.
Socialism and communism, everybody thinks, oh yeah, that's everybody's going to be equal and it's going to be completely egalitarian and everybody's going to get, universal basic income and all of that stuff, except every single instance of communism, there's been a dictator.
Right.
You kill off the king or the czar or president or whatever.
Yeah.
And, oh, good, now we're going to have a society where everybody's equal. Then you got Stalin, you got Castro, you got Maduro, but Chavez, and you've got, Xi now, President Xi now, but who was it? Mao. And, every single time these people that think that we're going to live in a socialist Garden of Eden, they've got this authoritarian ruling class,
right,
with AK-47s.
Yep,
every time.
Let's do this one. It's the
but of course, it's just because it hasn't been done right yet.
Yeah, always. We would do it better. I swear. There you go.
We're going to do it right this time.
Yeah. The hammer comes down as Minnesota fraud queen gets massive sentence. But the story is far from over. So here we go. The massive social services fraud carried out by Governor Tim Walz's Minnesota has been one of the top stories of the year as the Quality Leering Center came into our national lexicon, and people like Walz and Representative Ilhan Omar kept saying, nothing to see here, folks. Now the chickens have come home to roost for one of the masterminds, however, and she will be staring at concrete walls for many a year. Crimea River. Watch this. Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach apologized in court as she was sentenced to more than 41 and a half years and ordered to pay $243 million in restitution at Thursday's sentencing. Quote, "It was never my goal to do this." Bullshit. You kept doing it, therefore it was your goal.
Well, technically, that's a correct statement. It was never my goal to be here in court and
In
go
court,
to jail.
yeah. It was never my goal to do this, Bach told the court, with the prosecutors portraying her as the ringleader and mastermind of a massive pandemic-era fraud scam involving federal child nutrition funds. Quote, "I failed to protect people. I really believed in the work I was doing. Now I see how wrong that was. I'm sorry to the public. I'm sorry to the court. Sorry to my family. Sorry to my children. I never intended for this to go that way, the way it went. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Yeah, you did. You took the freaking money, didn't you?
Translation, I'm sorry I got caught.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was never my goal to do this. Say what? You defrauded the people for hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was an accident? There you go. Nick Sorter. The mastermind behind Feeding Our Friend 41. Holy crap. Amy Bach orchestrated the $250 million scam during COVID, billing taxpayers for fake meals for children. Right, the kids never showed up. And it was at that Safari restaurant. And during that scam, there's photos of Ilhan Omar there all the time. Well, I know
she didn't know anything about it.
Right. She knew nothing about it. Let's watch this.
Breaking news, a Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Amy Bach. She just got more than 41 years in prison. The prosecution is asking for a 50-year sentence and her defense about 3 years. So that's somewhere in the middle that they got that, but closer to what obviously the prosecution wanted. The scheme involved the theft of nearly $250 million in COVID funding. That money was meant to feed hungry children.
But look, Jay, at least they spelled the sign correctly. Feeding Our Future.
State leaders claim they were unaware of the fraud. Here's what Amy Bach told our Alexis McAdams from jail back in January.
I honestly believe Keith Ellison and Governor Walz need to be held accountable. There needs to be an investigation done. If they weren't aware, that's concerning.
That's like saying, okay, I committed all this fraud, but didn't we have steps in place to stop me? So therefore, I continued to do it because they weren't doing their job. I mean, think about that.
I mean, she's right. It's weird liberal logic, but she is correct. You know, hey, I did this because nobody stopped me. Okay.
I know, nobody stopped me.
Okay.
Unreal.
You know, that's somebody with a broken moral compass.
Louis,
she's
thanks, man.
sorry, all right. She's sorry.
Shot in a beer for you, brother. Thank you, sir. Chris, you're here. What's up, brother?
Yeah, she's sorry, all right, Rich. She's sorry she got caught.
Yeah, I know.
You know, hey, listen, an accident is when you knock over a glass of milk.
Right.
An accident is not when you steal $250 million. That's not an accident.
Right, Bobby. Billions they have stolen. Billions they have stolen. Billions. This is a smokescreen. That's correct. Let's see. No. That is correct. Yeah. Unbelievable. Let me see. Former Detroit. Let's try this. Here we go. Next one. Here we go. Red state. Former mayor of Detroit is now former candidate for governor of Michigan. Why did Mike Duggan bail? Here we go. Every now and then, a story I'd heard before comes roaring back into the headlines. Most of the time, there's a reason I ignored it initially. I hear plenty of dumb rumors and dubious stories, and the overwhelming majority aren't worth remembering. This is true. Well, this time I was told correctly, and I can't actually believe it. Damn. Just last week, the Detroit Regional Chamber released a poll about the gubernatorial race here in Michigan, and this is what they found. In response to one potential three-way matchup, about 34% of voters surveyed said they supported Benson, the current Secretary of State from Detroit. 29% they backed the Republican U.S. John James Shelby Township, and 23% said they preferred Duggan the former mayor of Detroit, who's running as an independent, about 14% were undecided, which means they hadn't woken up yet. The margin of error was plus or minus 4 percentage points. I read that and I thought to myself, this was done a couple of weeks ago and is right about where I think we should be. I had people claiming all kinds of things about what this meant for the race in November and how the ground was being laid for a GOP win or loss. This is a typical post-poll analysis with people that I know and not shocking at all. Yet, one person I know had the sheer audacity to claim that former mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, would drop out of the race. What nerve, I thought this person had to utter such nonsense when I knew better. While Duggan had dropped since the January polling, he was still considered viable, right? Nope, I was wrong. Duggan did drop out today, according to the Detroit News. Former mayor ended his independent campaign for governor Thursday, resetting the race for Michigan's highest political office. Quote, "We don't feel like there's a path forward, and I never ran to be a spoiler," Duggan said Thursday afternoon at a press conference in Huntington Place. Duggan said he no longer felt good about his chances of winning in November because of shifting huge national headwinds, swinging in the favor of Democrats and struggles to establish a national fundraising base beyond Michigan supporters. Why would you have to go outside your state to get the money? They should not allow that. What we're doing today is facing reality, Duggan said. What? Could you not have faced reality before today? Like maybe last December? I never believed for a moment that Duggan would actually win the governorship. There were pie-in-the-sky scenarios that I had read about from supporters of his that they believed were the path forward to him winning. Quite frankly, even though he was polling higher than any third candidate of recent note on a statewide scale, I had no belief that he could actually win. Yet some of the people that I chat with about what is happening here in the Great Lakes state believed, as I did, that the former Democrat and former mayor of the largest blue city in Michigan could pull enough votes away from the Democratic candidate for governor, Benson, and allow the Republican to win. Right. That hope just ended when Duggan ended his campaign. Right on cue, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, total scumbag liar and presumptive Democrat nominee for governor of Michigan, chimed in. Can you believe this? Quote, "At a time when politics can feel divided and cynical, we need more civility, more listening, and more people willing to work together to move our state forward." You mean like how you guys stole the frickin' 2020 election and you put those pages, the paper up on the walls so that the poll watchers, the Republican ones, couldn't see what the hell you were doing? Is that what you're talking about? More people willing to work together to move the state forward? I welcome Mayor Duggan's ideas. His supporter, she's talking like she's already won because she probably has, because it's Michigan, right? So I welcome Mayor Duggan's ideas, his supporters, and everyone who believes Michigan's future is bigger than division, and that it can be a place where anyone can afford to live, work, and thrive. Yeah, look at Detroit. We may not always agree on everything, but we share a commitment to building a stronger Michigan. Bullshit. And that work continues in this campaign. Really kind of hard to believe that the Secretary of State and her governor team whipped that statement out so quickly. If she could only make sure that the voter rolls in Michigan had actual people who are eligible to vote in the state as fast and accurately. If only. The road to the August GOP primary just became a little more difficult for John James, Mike Cox, and Perry Johnson. Whoever wins in August will face Benson in November and will have a steeper mountain to climb. You know what they got to do is they got to point out that, number one, that whole bullshit, the voting and all that, she shut down a lot of the investigations and never took a serious claim of fraud, or never took a claim of fraud serious. Thank you. So she's a liar. She's done so many things to not open face get caught. She and the governor, and to get caught in the scam that they did up in Detroit. I think, what was it? They had like 62 counties that were out of balance when they were counting, and they didn't care. They didn't fix one of them. 62 counties. That's unreal. Oh well.
Yeah, an independent's never going to win in Michigan.
Oh, never.
I don't know if I would put the Republican out of the race so quickly, though, because, Trump has made real inroads with like the auto industry.
Right.
And that, like the unions. So I wouldn't count them out just yet.
Right.
What do you think? Bet that she offered him a place in the administration. If
of course. He'll take the job too. Here we go. Oops. Let's see. Here we go. Stolen valor Dick. So there we go. Stolen valor Dick threatens Kash Patel and Lahuza her place. Whatever. Lahuza. All right. I'm sorry. Did I just roll my eyes out loud? Okay. There's something really funny about Richard Blumenthal, of all people, demanding an investigation into Kash Patel because he claims Patel is making our country less safe. Forget that Dick himself lied about his service in Vietnam. Honestly, full disclosure, I often write about Blumenthal because I can call him Dick. I know that's super immature and petty, but I own it. And this post from him demanding an investigation into Patel, bro, take all the seats. Here we go. I'm demanding an IG investigation because Kash Patel has put the nation's security at risk when he has been intoxicated and unreachable and deceptively manipulated key FBI statistics. All of that's a bullshit lie. He's making our nation less safe. Jesus Christ. You know what really makes our nation less safe? Allowing millions of illegals to cross into our country because, deep down, it's the only way your crap party has any chance of surviving. Here we go. Richie Da Nang Blumenthal, the senator who lied repeatedly about serving in Vietnam, he meant in combat, obtained 5 draft deferments to avoid the war, and then had the audacity to tell crowds, I served in Vietnam, is now lecturing about honesty and integrity. That's right. Let's see. Stolen valor fraudster who spent decades lying faces just to win votes in Connecticut. And now he's writing letters to the IG trying to smear one of the greatest FBI directors this country has ever seen. Kash Patel has done more to clean up that corrupt, weaponized bureau in 1 year, and it was Bongino that helped them do it, than Blumenthal's crooked friends did in decades of using it as their personal political hit squad. The Democrats are desperate. The FBI is finally working for the American people again instead of against them, and they can't stand it. Every arrest, every criminal taken off the streets, every win for law and order makes Crooked Richard and his failing party look worse. Nobody believes you, Richie. Nobody. You lost your credibility the moment you looked Vietnam veterans in the eye and lied to their faces. Connecticut deserves so much better than a fraud. Kash Patel's doing a fantastic job. What I don't get, Jade, is how the hell is he still winning these elections?
Because they'll vote for anything with a D beside their name. You know that.
Has to be. Even if it was a glass of water with a D label on it.
You could have somebody there convicted of the worst crimes. I mean, they could have done ridiculous, inappropriate activity with minors and God knows, but they would vote because it's a Democrat.
Oh yeah, I know. No, isn't that crazy?
And
isn't that nuts?
If they didn't all vote Democrat, the Democrats in power would find a way to cheat, so everybody had voted Democrat.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like Virginia. You know why the Democrats won? What? Arlington Cemetery is there.
Yeah, I know. They do. They always do well in the dead demographic.
Yeah, the dead demographic overwhelmingly votes Democrat.
Right, because they find out they're dead and then they vote for them. That's what they do. That's real. I'm not joking. All right, so here we go. So communist dumbass is now begging for rich companies to stay in New York City. Remember a couple of weeks ago we did a story where he doxed Ken Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Citadel hedge fund manager. He owns it, right? He founded it and he owns it, right? He runs it. And stood outside his building and said he lives here, paid $93 million or $83 million for his penthouse apartment or whatever it was. And then said, we're going to tax him, yada, yada, yada. So Griffin said, no, you're not. I'm moving to Florida. He took all his operations down to Miami. So now they just lost all that money because he was created. What did they call it? A pair de what?
Pied à terre.
pied à terre. I'll never get that word, and I don't care.
It's a French term.
That's why I don't care. The only French I know is "we surrender." That's it. I don't know any other French. But so he does that, and now he's here begging.
When it comes to socialism, no one likes the proposal from Mamdani.
Yeah.
And the New York Post has it on their cover, subprime, Jeff Bezos unloads on Mamdani's tax crusade.
Yeah, they want to vilify the rich. It's getting dangerous, too, when you have Ken Griffin, the CEO of Citadel, come out and say, are you kidding me? You stood in front of my apartment and says it's $238 million and you're going to have to tax me more? I'm the problem. You're putting my security in risk. And now finally another self-made billionaire, Jeff Bezos, is speaking up. And he's just pointing out socialism doesn't work, and neither does taxing me more. Watch.
What's happening here is politicians are using the kind of age-old technique. So there's this tale of two economies, and they're using this age-old technique of, picking a villain and pointing fingers. But the problem is that doesn't solve anything. And so, like, if you want to help the group of people who are struggling, you have to figure out real root causes and solutions. If people want me to pay more billions, then let's have that debate. But don't pretend, that's going to solve the problem. You could double the taxes I pay, and it's not going to help that teacher in Queens. I promise you. If we ran Amazon the way New York City runs their school system, your packages would take 6 weeks to arrive. We'd have to charge you a $100 delivery fee. And then when the package did finally arrive, it'd have the wrong item in it anyway.
And New York City's trying to screw Amazon and other delivery systems in the city right now. So I think he's going to pull out of New York.
He's 100% right. It's 40.
No, I think he's going to pull out of New York. Can you imagine? And the politicians were like, "Oh, because they're greedy." No, because you're greedy, mother.
Yeah. Did he did he sell that penthouse? I haven't heard a word.
Who? Ken Griffin?
Ken Griffin.
No, he's going to keep it for the tax reasons. Be able to write it off. But and that's exactly what Mamdani said. The reason why, think about that. Isn't there a thing called a bill of attainder? You're not allowed to single out specific people for a law, and that's what they're doing because he's a communist.
Yeah, but they were going to charge them. I don't care to necessarily remember the details, but because he had a house or a home there where it was a temporary home, he didn't actually live in New York.
Right.
That was going to result in a bunch of tax. So I figure the first thing he's going to try and do is dump that penthouse.
All right. When the courts actually work, this is Kurt Schlichter. All right. I know it's kind of esoteric, but I want to let you in on something that you probably didn't hear about in the regime media or in any media, because it's not that exciting on the surface. It does illustrate something important, though. There's nothing about race or oppression. Actually, I think we're going to hear about how it's about race and oppression, but give me a minute. It's just the Supreme Court unanimously making you and your family significantly safer. And both Justice Thomas and Justice Jackson agree on it. Can you imagine those two agreeing on anything? She's like an idiot, and he's like one of the greatest justices. It goes on to show that 99% of what's happening in the courts isn't the craziness that you guys hear about happening in the courts. It's just normal stuff. He's right. But the case of Montgomery v. Carib Transport, LLC, is going to have implications beyond just a lawsuit between some individual plaintiffs and companies. And it shows why it's important to have a functioning judicial system, right? The Dems have completely screwed up the judicial systems in most cities, most states. What's this case about? Well, there was a truck accident. There are lots of truck accidents in America. And as you know from the billboards, you constantly see with a 1-800-LAW stud in a business suit with boxing gloves, waiting to take advantage. I was saying advantage, waiting to take on those big wigs and get your money. Okay. I used to be involved in a lot of those lawsuits, usually defending one of my many defendants. You see, that's kind of the key issue here. Who can be a defendant? A defendant in a civil suit is the guy getting sued. but it's not usually one guy, right? They do class action and whatnot. It's usually a bunch of guys and companies. In Montgomery, the plaintiff who got badly injured in the personal injury game, it's called a leg off case, which is just what it sounds like, sued the truck company. The driver, Yasniel Valera Mohania, did that pretty good, didn't I? Alien status unstated. And importantly, he sued the broker. The truck broker is the entity that gets the cargo job and then farms it out to a trucking company. The theory here was that the truck broker farmed it out to the trucking company that had a bad safety record, and that it was negligent for it to do so because there was a significant chance the trucking company would cause an accident. Remember, you sue everybody who can possibly be liable in one of these cases. The idea is to bring as many insurance companies as possible and their policy limits into play. Trucking accident cases are golden geese because the injuries are so massive. A solid trucking accident case can be worth $20 million. That's why you want 3 or 4 insurance companies and their policy limits involved, so you can sue everybody who can possibly come up with a theory of liability against. Except there was a law that had been constructed to prevent suing brokers. These injury lawsuits are brought under state negligence laws. State law applies to govern most everything in routine civil litigation. This case was removed to federal court for some reason. Usually it's because of what's called diversity. Not that the commie leftist kind of diversity. It means the parties are from different states. The federal court would then apply state law because there's no federal common law. So Montgomery sued, and a federal court was going to apply the state law of the state where it happened. But there was an issue. There was a federal law that had been interpreted to preempt state laws regarding the potential liability of interstate trucking brokers. In other words, Congress had passed a law that the courts had construed as holding that interstate trucking brokers were not subject to state laws on negligence, effectively immunizing them from this kind of case. The district court ruled that way. The Circuit Court of Appeals agreed, and the plaintiff took the case up to the U.S. Supreme Court, which accepted it. The Supreme Court looked at the statute and analyzed the text, and also looked at the application of it to see what Congress intended. What it determined was that this federal law did not preempt state law, and the plaintiff's lawsuit against the broker could proceed. Justice Barrett wrote the opinion for the unanimous court. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a concurrence joined by Justice Alito, in which he noted that it was a close case, but he agreed with the result. He also pointed out that if the trucking broker industry didn't like the result, it was free to go to Congress and the president and ask them to pass a law preempting state negligence laws. In other words, the way this case was handled was totally normal, sane, and smart. This was what courts are supposed to do, not be crazy, not be wacky, but to look at the law and try to apply it as best they can using common rules of statutory interpretation and common sense. He's right. You know what he's talking about. He's talking about how all these, the courts, now we have courts where the judges want to become celebrities like Boasberg and the other ones that are that just want to become celebrities, mostly going against Trump, right? But what he's talking about is, isn't it nice to see that the courts can still be used for justice? That's what he's pretty much pointing out. I didn't want to go any further because I started to get bored reading that. Let me see. Broker, Dad, what's up, Special K? I didn't see you, man. Good to see you here. No one gets to be a star. Yeah. Commies get to drive your car. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, you know what they say about the commies?
What's that?
The workers in communist states. It's like we pretend to work and they pretend to pay us.
Right. Right. Here you go. Here's one. This is Kyle Becker. Nice to read his page. He doesn't have that anymore. Justin, AOC holds up a jar of untreated runoff water. She says, this is what drinking water in Morgan County, Georgia. She's from New York. What does she care about Georgia? Looks like now, thanks to a data center. So the lib nuts are trying to kill AI. Okay. and so they're lying about the data centers, right? The water is from a nearby well. It's unclear who needs more treatment, AOC or the water. So watch this.
I have a jar right here. This is the current drinking water in Morgan County,
She just
Georgia.
lied to you.
Right after a data center was constructed, the metadata center was constructed.
Nonsense.
The only difference
She's lying.
between the clean water and this was that data center. I have another one as well. So this wasn't just one well. These wasn't just one family's situation. This is what the drinking water now looks like next to that data center. And I think both of us can agree that neither one of these things are drinkable. These families now have to ship in a rural area.
No, we have to agree that neither one of those came from the data center.
Have to ship water to their house in order to cook and bathe themselves. Now, I'm curious if the EPA plans any investigations on how data centers are affecting water quality and availability. I understand what you said about the rule, but are there going to be any open investigations on this issue?
So as soon as I get back to the office, I will be looking into exactly what you've just talked about, because anywhere, whatever type of construction it is a priority to ensure that water quality standards established by EPA are being met. And so we'll be looking into that certainly.
Thank you. I sincerely appreciate that because I think this is of utmost importance.
You're a
and we're
liar.
seeing this happening across the country. I'd also like to ask about the administration's push to build more data centers by fast tracking construction. Because the administration's been issuing executive orders to fast track data center construction when we know that water quality is encountering major issues.
Now, can she explain to us how building a building automatically screws with the water supply?
No, probably not, but I can.
Go ahead.
I grew up in a rural area with a well, and
I have well water.
And in a good portion of my adult life, I also had a well. And what that water looks like. Now, obviously, you'd have to look at it and see what she's talking about. But if you have a big storm or anything else that disturbs the well, i.e. nearby construction also. And
but that's not a storm. That's
no, but
go
wait,
ahead. I
wait.
hear you.
But there are certain things that can disturb the well and stir up basically mud. And you can temporarily get muddy water. Not muddy waters, that's different. He played music. That's different.
It's pretty good. What did he say? Data centers are necessary for surveillance and tracking digital dollars. Yes.
But wells can be disturbed. And if you have nearby construction, yeah, I can see that stirring up the mud in the well. That will settle. That's mud.
Yeah, but I don't think it's true, because then we wouldn't be able to build any buildings anywhere. Yeah, I don't think this is true. Number two, Kyle Becker, I hope it gets to it in the video, but I'll look it up. But he said that it has nothing to do with the data center. He said, well, that's
the alternative. I guess I was just thinking there are certain things can disturb wells, and there are certain Democrats that can outright lie. So
I think every one of them. Let's just finish this. She's full of shit
Are there
here.
any mandates for data centers to do water quality testing prior to construction?
Of like coming from a public water supply, drinking water supply sampling?
Wells, yeah.
I'm not aware of anything like that. However, it doesn't mean I'm just not aware of it. Might exist,
Yes,
but I'm not.
Of course. I think it's important that you as an agency official, we have to make sure we're doing these investigations. And then us on a congressional level, I'd like to note that I think it's of utmost importance that we also launch congressional investigations into this matter as well, so that we can partner with the EPA.
Where the fuck do you get the right to get into something like that? Isn't that a state thing?
And ensure that the drinking water for this country.
You know why they're doing it? Because they want to go after Georgia, because the DOJ just descended upon Fulton County a couple months ago, and they're about to take down a shitload of people that cheated in the 2020 election and that facilitated it. That's what they're doing. That's why Tulsi went down there, Tulsi Gabbard. All right, what the hell would the DNI be doing down there in the storage facility where all the containers of the documents were? Right, there's a lot that went on in that facility as well, where Brad Raffensperger's own people broke in there and stole documents like ballots. That they were the ballots that Susie Voiles, who was a one of the precinct managers, supervisor, whatever they call it down there. And she had been doing it for like 20 years, so she knows what she's talking about. And she said that they had reams of ballots, mail-in ballots, that had no folds in them. How do you get a mail-in ballot into an envelope without folding it, right? Because they didn't do it. It was all Xeroxed, right? So she's doing this right now, and I'll bet you're going to have a couple more members of Congress trying to do anything they can to make Georgia look bad, right? Because Trump is down there now, and he's trying to get to the end. He's trying to get to the end of the story of what they did in 2020, because everybody knows they cheated. And our friend of the show, Mark Davis, he proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. It took him a while to prove it, only because of having to constantly go back and run the voter data against the USPS database and against the Social Security database, people who died and people who moved out of the state who voted, right? So I think all of this is because they want to go after Georgia, because Georgia is a purple state and they want to take it.
Continues to be safe and accessible for the American people. So thank you.
Because they never gave a shit about anybody. Everybody's a tool to them, to the Democrats.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all Republicans are great. No. Especially rhinos.
I do think Congress has power to look into it because the EPA is federal. But Crimean Underground River.
Crimean Underground River, exactly.
I believe, but I can't be sure. I don't know for sure, but Congress may well have the right, because the EPA is a federal organization.
I think the EPA should be thrown out.
Well, that's probably true too, because it's probably more of a state responsibility. However, the EPA still exists, whether we agree that it should or not.
Right.
I think I'm with you. I mean, most of these,
I hear you.
Most of these things should go away. It's like Department of Education on a federal level. Why? It's a state responsibility.
Right.
And there's many others.
See, a lot of people don't seem to know that the federal government was created just to be an agent to the states, nothing more. They were supposed to be an agent to this. It was because the Articles of Confederation made the federal government just a guidance body. They had no teeth. And they couldn't even get enough people to donate money for a war, right? They couldn't tell anybody, you got to support it. No, they had no teeth. So they wanted to do a federal government that had teeth, but it was only to do issues of nationhood, so that the states didn't sue each other, didn't block each other from commerce, didn't do all the things. So if you think about it, Federalist 45, written by Madison, the father of the Constitution, he wrote, and he literally defines, go look at it sometime, he literally defines the powers of the federal government and the powers of the states, okay? And the powers of the federal government, he says, are limited. The power of the state is infinite, okay? So he talks about, for the powers of the federal government are for things that were of nationhood, like what? An army, or military, defense, right?
The country being invaded.
System. Right. Immigration, right? And uniform rule of naturalization, Article 1, Section 8. So everything in Article 1, Section 8.
Common currency.
Yeah. So everything in Article 1, Section 8, which is known as the enumerated powers, is basically so that states didn't have to handle those things of a union of countries. A state is a country, okay? Even to this day. So that was the whole thing. But now, today, holy crap, you would never know that, because they usurped so much power from the states. If we got more conservatives on the court, I'm pretty sure we could knock a lot of that shit back, because this court right now, I don't like John Roberts, but this court has corrected a lot of wrongs. And I'm not just talking about the Dobbs case. There's a lot of things that they corrected that were bad decisions years ago by liberal courts. Yeah. So, but I digress.
Yeah, and it's really funny about the Dobbs case, because in my mind, it really shouldn't matter if somebody does or doesn't support abortion. It's not a Supreme Court issue.
Exactly.
And it's just not.
I remember as soon as the case was divulged, was leaked, you had Lindsey Graham. Hey, he comes out and says, we're going to do a federal bill that's going to block abortion. No, you can't, jackass. The Supreme Court just told you too that you have no say in this.
Yeah.
Right? You have no damn say in it.
And that's
right?
the way it should be.
Right. All right. They had to lie in 74 just to get it. Well, 73, they released it. But they had to lie to get it to the point where it was. So these women think that they had a right taken away from them when they never had that right. There's no right to abortion. And I mean, you could, in the Constitution, I've never read it. I read the Constitution 100 times. I've never seen, you could read the Constitution up to the light, hold it upside down and pour fucking lemon juice on it. And you're not going to see abortion in there. It's just not there. You know, and they lied. And now they're like, oh, we got to, like, think about it. We lost the midterms because of that ruling. They blamed the Republicans on that, right? It was the court, right? But they made a big thing out of it. They're trying to steal our right to kill our own kids. I mean, reproductive rights. That's another misnomer. How do you call killing a child reproductive rights? That never made sense to me. Yeah, California is a common poverty. Yeah, we're a Commonwealth. Yes.
Yeah. The decision back in 73 or 74, it was, I mean, everybody was on psychedelics evidently, because the decision said something about finding the right in the emanations and penumbras of the Constitution.
Right.
What?
There's a lot of things. Look, there's a lot of things in the Constitution. People, the blowhards on the news programs, they don't understand it.
Yeah, I would like somebody to show me the penumbra of the Constitution. Can you bring? I mean, you know a lot about the Constitution, Rich. Can you bring that up for me?
I'm afraid I can't at this point. I'd have to look up the penumbras.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody. I've never seen anybody show.
I thought about writing a book. I have 7 now on Amazon, but I thought about writing a book about all the interesting interesting to me, maybe sleepers for others, but all the interesting things about the Constitution that they don't really teach you in school. And I was going to do them, like the general welfare clause. Every libnut will tell you, well, that means that the government has to give you welfare. It's actually the exact opposite is what it means. Believe it or not. It was during the Constitutional Convention inside Independence Hall in Philly, which is about 20 miles from where I am right now. Benjamin Franklin, good old Ben, he stepped up and said that there should be a tax on canals, because canals were the way that when you had a ship come into port and you had your stewards and all that, well, they had a canal and there was a boat and pulled by either a donkey or a horse, right? And they would pull it up and load their shit, bring it back and take it off at the docks and get it to their stores, right? And Franklin, honestly, he thought, we should have a tax to be able to pay for the maintenance and the building of these canals because it helps everyone. Well, I think it was Gouverneur Morris who came along and said, nay, we can't do that, because then everybody in America is going to pay that tax and only a few people are actually going to benefit from it. That's not fair, right? And so they had a debate about it and he won, right? And even the delegates from the states had debates about that. And later on, they said, okay, so here's the thing. We're going to have this thing that we call the general welfare. And it meant the general welfare, to promote the general welfare. It's in the preamble of the United States. And what they actually meant was, if you write a bill in Congress, first of all, it has to be constitutional. So you can't just write a bill about anything. Like, in other words, Obamacare, illegal. Christ, go down the line. Medicare, Medicaid, all it illegal, right? If it's not in Article 1, Section 8, they don't have the power to do it. It's only there and any amendments that they have. So what happened is they thought, okay, so if you're going to make a bill, it has to be constitutional. And if it is, and you want to have some way to pay for it, you're going to have to tax, right? So if you're going to tax it, everybody in the United States must be able to benefit from that program in order to have to pay the tax, right? They did this. Our founders were brilliant. They did this shit intentionally to make it very hard to create bills. And that's why they did the same thing for amendments. But the progressives didn't like amendments anymore because they're too hard, right? So they didn't like it anymore. So they just said, fuck it, we're just going to pass whatever bill we want. And we don't care about the general welfare clause because most Americans don't know what that means anyway. Yeah, they were very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's not a...
He met general welfare once. Did you know that, Bob? He did. It was a large woman of color whose body armor was made out of thousands of EBT cards. Oh, brother, I love you, man. That's funny.
Yeah, you know, Rich, it's not a crime until you get caught.
Right.
You know,
And
you're
Democrats,
talking about passing these
it's okay
bills
when we do it.
Passing these bills that are unconstitutional. It's not a crime until you get caught. So,
well, it's not a crime, period, because that's political, but that's another problem I have. That's why none of these people, these criminals in Congress that get away with doing the shit that they did, the fraud and all that.
Yeah, but but when it goes to the Supreme Court and it gets knocked out, you know, oh, I guess it was unfortunately, the people who put it forward, knowing that it was an illegal bill, don't face any consequences.
That's the point. That's what I want to say.
That's the biggest problem.
Now they do face well, they have a potential of facing consequences. You know, Harriet Hegman pointed this out about the Biden administration. They committed many fucking crimes during the Biden administration. Okay, turning on Americans, whatnot. But none of it they could be charged with, really. I mean, well, the reckoning is the next election. That's what it is. It's the next election, okay? And that's how the founders wanted it, because we would become a banana republic, which the Democrats are turning it into anyway, because they weaponized the Justice Department to go after him, right? New York created Bill of Attainder by changing laws just to target Trump, right? That's how he got all those he got E. Jean Carroll came along, because the actual legislature made a law that said, oh, you can just that statute of limitations going back 25 years, you can any statute of limitations, you can forget about it for 1 year or 2 years, I think it was. They were hoping an E. Jean Carroll would come along, right? It's just all bullshit. Let me read this one here about the West Coast, Bobbity.
The left coast?
Yeah. I call it the left coast. West Coast, Mest Coast. Oh, now we see why the Democrats love homeless drug addicts. There he is. See, at least they're sitting normally when they're tired, right? Because in Philadelphia, they just bend over halfway like zombies, right? In Kensington. Welcome to the West Coast, Mest Coast update, where this week Oregon voters spanked Democrats. Not a typo. Washington leftists coined a new type of refugee, and taxpayers discovered they're underwriting the cosmetic surgeries of prison inmates. These people are nuts. Spencer Pratt takes the lead in fundraising in the Los Angeles mayor's race and in political ads. And I discovered this week why there's an incentive for Democrats to keep drugged out zombies on the street. Yeah, they run up to them and go, hey, dude, can you sign your name here? They'll even grab their hand and sign it for them. And it's a voter registration form. It's all coming up on, they caught them doing it. It's all coming up on this week's West Coast, Mest Coast update. So let's get after it. Okay. I didn't see this coming. The first one to report voter fraud and impersonation of California was not James O'Keefe, who completely laid bare what voter fraud was going on at LA's Skid Row in the reporting that led to an indictment this week, but a citizen journalist, street photographer, J.J. Smith, in San Francisco's version of Skid Row, called the Tenderloin. Yeah, the Tenderloin. I've heard of it. And before we go any further, yes, the name Skid Row, which became Skid Row, was coined in Seattle and was uniquely that city's term for the area filled with boozy down and outers, until it became a term denoting every city's impoverished homeless areas in the pit of downtowns everywhere. Okay. Because I know you're wondering, not me. In Seattle, loggers would send their felled trees down a huge hill slopped with goose grease to Henry Yesler's mill. The logs would skid to a halt in the grittiest part of the city into the water, and the West was built. Eventually, that's where the neediest of the men ended up, looking for jobs, food, booze, and loose women. Voila, Skid Row. San Francisco, I didn't know that. San Francisco's Skid Row is the Tenderloin where J.J. Smith grew up. And as an adult, he chronicles it with his smartphone. I had him on the live stream of the Adult in the Room podcast to talk about his story, which I first wrote about in Watch This Shock Video, whatever. Okay. In the first few seconds of the video, you can see a woman paying a line of mostly men, mostly of whom are high on drugs, $5 to sign. There you go. Sign petitions in the names of other people who are actual voters whose identities she plucks from a list. Let's take a look at it then. See if we can see that. I don't see it. Hang on. I'll be right back. I don't see the video. Oh, there it is. Let me share this one instead.
Excuse me.
I'm out of cough drops. Watch. They're just going up to people. Hey, you want to sign this? Make $5?
Hey, what's the line for? For sign petition. Shut up! Don't say nothing more. They get $5 to sign a petition. They get $25? $5. $5. Okay.
It's a shot of crack.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Watch this.
I've never been so disrespectful in my life.
There they are.
What do I need?
Just sign anything.
What is this?
I don't know. What name do you got? What name is that?
Crocker.
Jeffrey Crocker.
This is their version of democracy.
You only signed 2 of them so far.
Purchase homeless guy's signature.
He signed 2 of them. Oh. He signed 2 of them.
This is J.J. Smith who's filming it.
I get $5 too?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Just sign it.
Just sign it?
Yeah. You ready now? First name is going to be Carol. Last name Sanderson.
Tell her what her name is.
Right here. This is the city, Avila Beach. This is the zip code.
It's unbelievable.
So remember, first name is Carol. I get it.
Can you imagine this shit?
And they were actually registering them to vote too.
Yes. Yes.
And I guess that's a big no-no.
Right.
Because that's what she's charged with.
Right.
Is the registering to vote.
Right. The first few seconds of the video, you can see a woman paying a line of mostly men, most of whom are high on drugs, $5 to sign petitions in the names of other people. And she identifies them from. What I wasn't prepared for was the evidence of Medi-Cal fraud occurring openly on the streets. This is what Smith was initially inspired to chronicle, he told me. Oh, and he finds it all the time. A minute 17:30, he directs me to one of the latest videos in which he chronicles men providing on the street urine tests, DNA scraping in the name of what exactly? Fraud. The individuals hand over their name, social security number, and if they have one, Medi-Cal cars. And suddenly, Medicaid gets billed for all manners of procedures in their name. Now, can you believe that? Swab your mouth, piss in a cup, they get money. Give you $5. They're probably, I mean, if you think about it, if they have a phony clinic set up, they're making thousands of dollars per. That's just crazy.
All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not.
We're not watching that. It's 36 minutes long. Don't you wonder if this zombie land is allowed to thrive because the Democrats benefit from it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't wonder. I don't.
Yeah, I
wonder.
don't wonder either. I know it. Good point. Good point. Let's see what next is. Well, hey, you got anyone there I should play? What do you think?
Oh, I've just been following along. I haven't run ahead like I do sometimes.
Yeah. Pick
Let's
anyone.
see. Let's see.
Ain't got no responsibility. How about that?
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do
You
that
pick one. I'll keep looking.
All right, I'll do this one. Let's see. Here we go. Ain't got no responsibility. Yeah. There's a town hall. A world without consequences is all around us. And it is. Israel stopped ships from another flotilla that attempted to make its way to Gaza. How the hell is this about? All right. When commandos from Israel's Shayatet, whatever, 13, boarded the vessels, they found no humanitarian aid. This is what happens. This is why there's a fucking blockade, guys. When the first group tried this stunt a while ago, they at least had the courtesy of pretending to bring flour and the like to the not-so-starving Gazans. Their aid was taken to the main Israeli port at Ashdod and then transferred by truck to the Palestinian enclave. Why would this round of ship of fools make the trip from Turkey when they know that they would be stopped? Because they understood that there are zero consequences for their actions. Let's imagine that someone is willing to pay you $100,000 a month to simply stand outside some small business with a sign that says that the owner of said venture is a jerk. The police claim that you're not in violation of any laws, and where you stand prevents the owner from stopping your actions. You thus get rich while knowing that the owner of the police, and anyone else for that matter, can do nothing. In the world of Jew hating, oh boy, in the world of Jew hating, there is always money. Whether it be the self-hating Jew George Soros or the Jew-hating Muslim Recep Erdogan, there is always somebody willing to put cash on the barrelhead for an anti-Israel program. Guys, I did not read this head. I had no idea. So let's imagine ourselves amongst the latest group of pro-Palestinian losers. We set sail with plenty of provisions for ourselves. We talk about how the Israelis would board and beat us. We would fantasize about how we would fight back and maybe take out a couple of Jews. But we know, just as the whole world knows, that the Israelis would do nothing to us. And that's true. And yet we hear all the story, oh, they shoot innocent people in Gaza. Whether it be out of proper military morality discipline or fear of another file at The Hague, Israel's military just does its job and never starts a provocation. Before boarding one vessel, the Israeli Navy took over the radio and blared Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again. Not the theme song for bloody hand-to-hand combat. That's funny. When people, whether they be your children or murderers, know that there are no consequences for their actions, nobody should be surprised when they return to their bad ways. Does a day go by without some headline to the effect of X murdered Y in cold blood yesterday? X had 55 prior arrests, including 15 for aggravated battery and using a straw, not according to instructions. X was released 10 hours before he beat Y so badly that it took half of Y's family to identify the body. Why are people who are so violent, who are so antisocial, being allowed back on the streets to harm again? Someone will get punished, either the bad guys through incarceration or the good guys by living in fear or becoming a crime statistic. Somebody is going to be on the losing end of the equation. Normal societies decide that it's not the bad guys, lock them up, kill the worst, and make it clear that there's plenty of room at the pokey. That appears to be the approach of President Bukele of El Salvador, right? He's got the right idea, that maximum prison. I remember when that country was #1 in homicides. I do too. Now it appears to be a paradise. While the bad guys, including some draft picks from the U.S., wear those white outfits as they run through their paces. Let's imagine that you have a shop and you have so much to sell that every morning you put half of your goods out on the sidewalk in front of the store. If one goes to certain neighborhoods here in Jerusalem, he can often find most of what he needs outside and only goes inside to pay. There are two forces that keep people from stealing your stuff. The first is internal. Most people have enough moral training to know not to take things that are not yours. Guys, that happens in the United States too. Does anybody know where? You can go to bed at night and leave your wallet and a fifth on a picnic table that your family, ate at and party with. Camping. You go camping in almost any place where people do this in the United States, and you'll wake up the next morning and there's not a fucking dollar taken out of your wallet and it's still there. It's true. Some odd reason people don't steal things when you go camping. I guess it's because they all have this same mentality of, we went camping to get away from the shit of the cities So we're not going to cause problems here because we don't want to lose this, right? Well, that's the same thing what he's talking about here.
Yeah,
Where
of course.
the hell was it?
Of
Oh, yeah,
course,
so the
all your
people-
food is torn apart and there are bear prints.
Whether it be
around.
based whether it be based on religious training or some kind of innate moral compass, the vast majority of people would not take something that does not belong to them. I remember when America was like that. I mean, for the majority of people, you're always at crime. But the second stopper is the copper. If one steals something, there is some finite chance he will get in trouble. He may have to pay a fine or go to jail. He may be humiliated or forced to do some type of embarrassing job as restitution. The problem is that the second block is only 1% as good as the moral gate. One can look at crime statistics and realize that large percentages of crimes are never solved. Even when a suspect is found and arrested, there is a Byzantine process required to get a conviction. How many videos have you seen in the past year of the brazen youths grabbing and stealing goods from stores ranging from Target to high-end jewelry shops? Exactly. The store owners and their guards are on their heels because the law is not in their favor. Just as an Israeli submarine captain would do more for world peace by firing a torpedo at some of the ships trying to break Israel's kosher maritime quarantine, a guard at Target who drops two guys with big garbage bags filled with stolen clothes would reduce local shoplifting by 50%. Exactly. It's the broken windows theory, you know. So, because when you don't do anything to fix your broken window in your neighborhood, criminals come in and go, hey, nobody gives a shit about this place. There's money to be made, though. All right. But the laws don't favor consequences. Rather, they favor the bad guys. This guy's right. One can use the same logic on Iran. Now we're at Iran. Can you imagine? The most recent published set of demands would suggest that whoever is still running the country is high on drugs, reparations for war damage, all U.S. troops out of the region, etc. Have they ever looked at the massive damage they have suffered? How many billions have they lost due to lack of oil shipments from Cargo Island? Iran and its various clients behave the way they do because they know that Israel and the U.S. are hamstrung in their ability to properly respond. Guys, there was a thing that was written. It was a book that was written. I can't remember the name, but the gist of it was this. And he said that the reason we no longer win wars, the United States, is because we're fighting people of color. You know, be they Muslims, be they Africans, we fighting with people of color. And we have so trained ourselves in the United States to be anti-racist that we can't fight a war to win anymore. And which is why I think that Trump has the right idea by not using troops. I mean, as much as he wants to use technology and our air power, right? But think about the guy, and the guy who wrote the book was a black man. Okay, I can't remember the name of the book though, but it'll come to me. But he said it's because he said, you know, militaries are there to kill people and break things. They're not there as a social club, right? So he said, but the United States has been so pussified by, you know, racism and trying not to be racist that our leaders don't want to appear racist by harming, like by totally like annihilating the enemy, which is what you should do if you're at war with a country, right? And so that's what this guy's talking about, all right? So IDF soldiers and officers who have been killed by Hezbollah terrorists and their new optical drones because the rules of engagement favor the bad guys. The Iranians figure that since they use everything they've got, the other side must have done the same. They don't understand that the U.S. is partially self-restrained, exactly, and further restrained by world opinion and global oil prices. But if things get hot again, the Iranians will look back at the first half of this war as being the more gentle era. He's right. The Iranian leadership was given every opportunity to accept Donald Trump's terms. And instead of taking the offers, they have come back with fever dream demands. They think that Donald Trump is Joe Biden or Barack Obama, who never held the Iranians responsible for their murder of American citizens and support for global terror. None of us likes giving punishment to our children. And when we see a 20-year-old sent up for life for murder, we figure that 2 lives are lost, that of the deceased and that of the kid who will die in his jail cell. But if a society decides that there are no consequences for actions, then that society can expect the garbage we have today. That's such on point today, and repeat criminals back on the street. It can expect illegal immigration without end. It can expect a valueless youth as they never have to pay for the choices they make. A democracy or republic only works with and for a moral people. Who said that?
Oh, that was, I think
Begins
it was
with a J.
Ben Franklin.
No, it was John Adams.
John Adams.
He said the republic is only for a moral people. Dictators also boast of receiving 99% of the vote in their democratic elections. Democratic, right? Proper values allow the amazing U.S. republic to thrive. No values and thus no consequences mean a dystopian future where the bad guys prevail and the good guys live in fear. It's time to make the criminals accountable. Here. I'm going to follow this guy. I really like that article because he's absolutely right. And we're not the only people that do that now. Like, look at Europe. They're so afraid. Like, they were so afraid of offending Muslims that you get arrested if you tweet something that offends a Muslim. Holy cow.
Yeah,
that's
and then
crazy.
And then all these liberals are saying you can't incarcerate
That's
your
exactly
way
right. You're right,
out of
Pat.
crime. And then you see President Bukele, and El Salvador is like one of the safest places now.
Yeah, I remember his response when we took down when Trump shipped that the Maryland man down to El Salvador. And so they were doing an interview with Trump and Bukele. And the reporter said to Bukele, well, why don't you just release him and send him back to America? And Bukele sat there and smiled. And remember what his answer was? He says, you're asking me to send someone to another country where he's not from.
I think he actually said send an Salvadoran citizen.
Right. And because he was in El Salvador, he said, so you're asking me to send someone to the United States where he's not a citizen and doesn't belong. And he goes, I couldn't do that to President Trump. And Trump's just sitting there smiling like, this guy gets it. He gets it, right?
Yeah, the Democrats don't. The liberals don't.
Oh, was Loafer here? Oh, there he is. Hey, what's up, man? Faris Mahad isn't there to comment. There's plenty good take on Iranian-Israeli relations, economics, and political allegiance. 90 folks. All right, later, man. Have a good night. Yeah, it's late for you. Wow. Is he in Australia or... So I don't know what time. What time is it there? Linda, what time is it there?
But yeah, these liberals, they say you can't incarcerate your way out of crime. Well, go talk to President Bukele. He made a remarkable.
Yeah, you actually can.
I
remember. It was during the Bush administration when I think it was Jesse Jackson came out and he said, "Wow, too many people going in. We have too many people in the prisons, even when the crime rate's going down." I sat there, I go, you want to take this or should I? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay. The crime rate's going down because of all the people that are in the prisons, you idiot. Because it's not everybody. They like to think, this is why the liberals believe in gun laws is they think that you could be the most law-abiding person, right? You do your training with your firearm, and all that. And that at any given moment, you could just go hog fucking wild and start shooting people, right? But there's really a relatively small percentage of people that are committing all the crimes. So when you take that small percentage and throw their ass in jail, guess what? You have no more crimes being committed, right?
Did you know that the rate of commission of crimes by licensed to carry firearm owners is lower than the crime rate by police officers? Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes. Now, there's the other statistic that they like. Do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't already, please. And thank you. Yesterday, today was tomorrow. I wrote a song once called Yesterday is Today. Let me see. I'm trying to say, should we do one more? It's 9:03.
I think we're done.
You think?
I think we might be done. Unless if you're really, really, really up to it, what about the fat liberal gets angry at conservative?
That's the one. That's the one. Yes. Okay. Let's just do that.
It's a video. We can end on a high note.
Oh, yeah. Let's end it on a high now. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Yeah, this is good, actually. The fat liberal. Okay. This is the quartering. He's a good guy.
Can't even explain why they're protesting. It's all a joke. Check this out.
I'm not giving you any answers. I don't think anyone here wants to give you answers. You're literally talking to me right now. I know, because I'm telling you that I don't want to give you any answers. Nobody here wants to give you answers. It's Donald Trump's birthday. You're better to move on. No. You're better to move on. No. This is not the right place for you. Aren't you all about inclusivity? That's the paradox of inclusivity. The paradox of tolerance. Have you heard that? What is so wrong with me that I shouldn't be welcome here? Because we don't have to tolerate intolerance. Go on. What about me specifically? Should I not be welcome here? You are here questioning why people are here peacefully demonstrating. We have the right to be here peacefully demonstrating. Everyone here is literally telling you why they're here with their signs, with their very presence. And yet here you are getting in people's faces, keeping them away from what's important. And so I'm done with you now. And I really just suggest you got your 15. No, I guess this is all about love. And so I should be welcome.
Thank you.
You guys came up to me. Why do they always come up to me and then tell me to stop filming or tell me to leave? How are you today?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
Is that foundation or is that Cheeto dust?
It's Cheeto dust. Of course, it's Cheeto dust. Absolutely. I'm sure.
Tell us about why you're wearing this and what inspired it.
Because I am very anti-Trump. I'm for democracy in America. I don't want kings. I don't want dictatorship. So I'm here to support America and the people that need the help that we're not getting sometimes.
Okay. And how is Trump exhibiting king-like behavior?
He's doing king-like behavior by having military parade would be a good idea. National Guard going out, not following the Constitution, several things.
Okay, all right. It's his birthday today.
I know.
Do you have a happy birthday message to him?
I hope I see your obituary in the paper tomorrow.
Okay.
That'd be a message. Yeah.
Okay. So you hope that this is his last birthday.
Well, I don't want him dead. I just want him not in office anymore.
Why did
Well, obituary would mean dead.
I know. I was being sarcastic. I was like him out of office.
Out of office.
Yeah.
Would you like JD Vance to be the president
No, I
then?
would not.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would you like to be the president?
Kamala Harris right now, but she didn't win. But
oh my God.
Can I point out something that we say no kings and no authoritarianism, but Kamala Harris, no one voted for her.
Yes, they did. Half the country voted for her. So let's not
No,
go there.
no one was voted for her to be the nominee.
Yes, they did.
Isn't that what like authoritarian?
You're going down the wrong road right now with me. I wouldn't go any further.
Yeah,
What is that?
You're going down the wrong road. In other words, you just caught me, and I don't want to be with you
I
anymore.
mean,
I'm not going to talk to you anymore. That's what it means.
I just think it's ironic that
care if
no
it's
one
ironic or not.
voted
They
for her to be
did.
the nominee. They just selected her like a
Thank you.
king gets
Appreciate your
selected,
opinion,
right?
but Keep it to yourself. Okay. Bye. Have a good day. See ya. Take care.
Evan, what's your other sign say?
No, you don't need to see it.
Okay.
None of your business.
All right. Thank you so much. What crimes have they committed?
Trump?
Yeah, the ones in the Oval Office. What crimes have those people committed?
You want to look it up on Wikipedia? There's like a list.
Wikipedia.
You made the sign, so I'm asking you.
It's true. I'm at a protest though.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything. I'm here for my community.
Okay, so you make a sign about people being criminals, but you don't know what you made it for?
All right. So I make a sign supporting my community and the people in it. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed of your sign.
Protesters can't even explain why they're
Unreal.
protesting. It's all a joke. Check this out.
I'm not giving you any answer.
Kill it off. Yeah, she's awesome. She was known as the gun girl. And at her college, Caitlin Bennett, at her college, they had done a no gun zone, a gun-free zone. So she walked around with a rifle over her shoulder when she went to classes every day. And they tried to tell her to get off. She goes, "Oh no." She said, this is a public school. She said, "You cannot stop me from my Second Amendment right." And so every day she would, and they tried to block her from going to her classes. She said, "I will sue you to oblivion." And she just got well known. And then she was hired by Alex InfoWars. She was hired by Alex Jones's InfoWars, and she went out and did stories just like that. She's just really good at it. She drives them crazy. All right, guys, thank you very much for being here. We're going to call it a night. Hit the like button again if you didn't, please. It helps us. Watch the videos during the week, please. Bring a friend next week.
And when you watch the videos, hit like on those too.
You guys from across the pond and up north, I'll see you tomorrow night at 40s. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. Love to all. Have a good weekend. We're out.